welcome back to Pixels and Pints on a chilly first day of winter. It is first day of winter.
We've moved our recording studio to the middle of Antarctica, by the feels of it.
We froze our little nuts off this morning at the brewery, so that was all fun. My name is Dan. I'm joined tonight by, in camera order on my screen, Peter in the middle.
Howdy.
Pole position. And his wingman, Thomas, on the other side. who is suffering from a mild case of the flu, so I hear. Sorry, I've just gone dark because I turned the light on and then it died 5 minutes later. So there we go. We are going to talk some video games, some movies, a lot of Star Wars celebrations, probably try and avoid some minor spoilers for Obi-Wan later.
Nah.
Talk about some video games that have tickled our fancies over the last 40-something years that we've been kicking around on this dust ball of a planet. And go from there.
We haven't quite finished the transformation from beautiful paradise to dust ball, but we're getting there pretty quickly at the moment.
It's getting close.
Close enough. At the risk of, in order to avoid getting too political, we're going to start with our first beers of the evening. Tom, what are you drinking? Hopefully it's some sort of honey and ginger tea mix for your throat.
No, I've had about 18 cups of miso soup today, so that should hopefully cure me.
I have a beer for you later on, Tom.
Is it a miso soup beer?
Yeah.
That was somewhat predictable, really.
Well, it's not. I think it has it in it. As long as I actually ended up buying that one or not. I can't remember now.
Only you can
probably
just
on the miso. I mean, you could probably just chug on a sachet of wasabi, and you'd be right as rain for half an hour before you came back to Earth.
I would
clear all those sinuses. Oh, that's right. You're allergic to chili.
It's not chili. It's radish.
So you must be allergic to the active.
It's capsaicin. I'm allergic to capsaicin. Yeah, that's what I react to. Anyway, I'm not drinking that. What I am drinking is to keep me awake before I get lulled off into Codral-induced comas. Source Brewing, their Long Black Coffee IPA. So it's a black IPA that's been infused with fresh roasted coffee. And I can tell you it is roasty. It is roasty, and I'm getting a nice, straight off the back, like, heap of bitterness. So it's exactly what I, A, feel like, and B, wanted to drink. They said they used coffee beans sourced from Brazil, Colombia, and Peru. So quite dark and bitey coffee. And it's got a little bit of dankness to it. Luckily, I haven't had my entire palate stripped by this little gunkiness in my nasal passages. But yeah, you get, like, just even then, just like a little, burp. I got a heap of that, like, that piney dankness. But then there's heaps of roasted like flavors coming through. It's good. It's quite balanced. It's ABV is 6.5. Very nice.
And what's the style? I mean, obviously it's an IPA. Is it a black?
Yeah, black IPA.
Yeah, cool.
They say somewhere between a West Coast and a black, and you can definitely see that. They did have this is a long black. They do a pairing one to it, which is the flat white, which was a milkshake IPA. But
yeah, I was going to say
I wanted this one today. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Pixels out of
good.
pints?
It's easily like a 4.5. That's a cracking black IPA. And that's what I'm right into at the moment. Bring back the black IPA, I say.
Cool.
Keep banging that wagon. People will listen eventually.
Yes. We'll get there.
I have Dreamy Days Hazy Pale from Ocean Reach Brewing. It's a 5%er. I think all my beers tonight are like 6 and below, which is good. And it's a super clean. It's not enormously hazy. It's it's not completely murky. It's not quite as hazy as it's showing up there on camera, but it's God, you can't mark them down for that. Who really cares? It's about flavor profile. It's really super low bitterness, really clean hop character expression. They say tropical fruit, citrus, and candy-like aromas and flavors. Medium body, soft mouthfeel, well-rounded finish. Yeah, and they fucking nailed the brief. It's super smashable. Just keep going. And top job on labels.
Ooh, that's good.
Well
quality.
lined up. Out of 5.
Solid 4. Solid 4.
Cool. Sweet. And I am drinking. I actually think this must be a continuation of a series of beers because I know we've tried one that, with a similar name. This is Hawker's Beneath the Trees We Gather. And I'm practically certain Dan had a Hawker's Into the Forest We Go, I think it was.
Yes.
There you go.
That was their berry sour.
Yeah, so this is the Yuzu and Plum Kettle Sour. It is 7%. And it's got a rating on the back, so 1 out of 5 hops, 2 out of 5 malt, and 3 out of 5 yeast. Although you don't actually taste the yeast typically in a sour with that kind of strength in it, and I certainly can't. So it's a lovely apricot color. It is thick
nice,
enough as to not be transparent at all. I'm not quite sure what a yuzu is supposed to taste like. You do definitely get kind of strong stone fruit flavors. I don't know if it'd be plum per se, but certainly it's in that spectrum. So
Yuzu is kind of like a mandarin.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
Japanese mandarin.
So it's a bit
Yeah,
citrusy.
They're little, aren't they? Little
tiny
citrus.
little, small little citrus fruits, yeah.
I think I've seen them actually. I just didn't know what they were called.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it does have those stone fruit flavors, and yeah, I guess it does have a twinge of kind of a citrus note, but it's very soft. It's not overpowering like a traditional, like an orange hop expression you'd get out of an IPA, for example, or a hazy. No, that's quite nice. It is 7%, so I'm kicking off the night with a bang. Hopefully it'll heat me up with a nice warm beer coat. I'm going to give it a 4. It's better than average. It's not the best sour I've ever had, but then nothing but a proper barrel-aged cherry sour is going to be the best sour I've ever had. But it is enjoyable.
We should also say congratulations to Hawkers on their recent wins
Yes.
at the Australian International Beer Awards, where they won Championship Brewery and then Best Victorian Brewery. So, yeah, well done, Hawkers. Good on you guys.
Good on you guys.
That's one thing we didn't have in the run sheet was talking about winners at the ABAs, but yeah.
There we go. I've chucked it in. We've covered that one. Tick it off the
Sorted.
list.
Box
Next.
ticked.
Yeah.
Shopping list crossed.
Yep.
Sorry. Do you want me to lead you in, Dan?
No, it's all right. I'll go. So I'm going to excuse myself from camera for this next section. Pete can replace me with the Pixels and Pints logo. Not going to be able to keep my composure whatsoever. Unfortunately, yesterday we said goodbye to an absolute legend of a man. Good friend of the show, very good friend of mine, Suey, lost his dad yesterday. Ron Sufong. He was he was a fucking character. He was an amazing man. He always happy, always up for a chat, constantly joking, and he was in our early 20s, we would always invade his garage before online gaming became a thing. We would invade his garage, 7 to 8 of us, and load up the trestle tables and the workbenches in there with our PCs and play away till all hours of the morning for our LAN parties when we actually had to physically plug into each other's computers. Ron was always there. He completely threw me off on my first meeting, as I think he probably did for a lot of people. He was a little old Chinese man that had the good old sock and thong shuffle around the house and around the kitchen. Then you'd say hello to him for the first time, and he had the thickest Aussie accent ever. He was straight out of Blacktown and lived there for most of his life, and it completely threw you off. And he had a fantastic sense of humour that passed on to his children, and we see that all the time in Suey, but also in Suey's siblings, and it's starting to show in his grandchildren. So, yeah. So, rest in peace, Ron.
Yeah,
Cheers.
rest in peace.
So Ron, and our biggest condolences out to Sui as well, mate. We know you're a big fan of the show, and we're thinking of you and your whole family.
Yeah, I'm not going to say anymore. I mean, we talked about those LAN parties, and I think we actually talked about Ron. I think he might have come up in the birthday special. So, yeah, condolences, Sui, and the rest of the family. So we thought we'd. I mean, it's a unfortunate piece of news to start the show with, but we do have some good news. As in the words of Matt Smith, the good pile doesn't necessarily offset the bad pile, but you kind of need to put things on both. So I think, Tom, you wanted to say congrats.
Yeah, Alistair, who you guys would have seen in the birthday special as well. We'd like to congratulate him and his wife on their new baby boy, Robert. Both Mum and Bub are very healthy and happy. And Alistair, being Alistair, has carefully chosen the name Robert so that he can slip in the nickname Boba, which I think is great. I think that's fantastic, and it's an inspiration, really. To now, if I ever get up having kids, I'm definitely thinking about ways to sneak
ninja in some Star Wars references.
Yeah. So, congratulations, Alistair. And glad to hear that Mum and Bub are doing well. And we'll look forward to seeing him in some tiny Beskar armor soon. I'm sure it's been ordered and it's on the way. And if they
and
don't
all
already make
the
a
baby
Boba
Yoda
Boba
outfits.
Fett onesie, he could put in his Boba armor and have. There you
Baby
go. There's an
Yoda.
art project for you, Pete. that could be the artwork. Alistair with a little baby Yoda Robert, but
Can be done.
So congratulations to those guys. That's very exciting news for him. At least he didn't have to run up to Bar 89 during this birth to get in for the Bounty Hunter Brewing event.
Yes.
While she was in labour. So well done, son. Well done.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah. Well, let's kick into some news.
Yes.
We interrupt this broadcast with some breaking news from the front.
While we wait for Dan to come back, you can start off if you want, Pete, or do you want me to? I don't know. Let's do whatever. My brain doesn't work.
I'm just going to No, I was just going to let you just kind of drown a little bit there.
Ramble on.
So we had Star Wars Celebrations. Just happened in Anaheim, California. And there were loads of announcements. In fact, if you look at pop culture headlines at the moment, you pretty much can't find anything that's not related to either Star Wars. It's about 90% Star Wars and 10% is the new Pinocchio live-action reboot from Disney. That's pretty much it. Oh, and I think CW is releasing yet another snowflake-enriched take on a DC comic franchise, which in this case is going to be the Wusses from Gotham, I think it's called. Which is obviously set in the Gotham universe, and it'll be typical CW.
Is this thing on? Hey, shine the veal. Don't start that comedy career yet, Pete. A little way to go. All right, my brain's just kicked back into gear. That's good. This coffee, it does wonders. You guys should try it. Coffee, very good invention. We'll go back to Star Wars Celebrations. Massive.
We're going to come back to Wusses of Gotham because I want to know what he's talking about there. But continue.
It's a Gotham Knights series they're doing.
Oh, okay.
It's another teen coming of age wrapped inside a DC fucking IP, like all the rest of their series.
We've already got Titans. We don't need the entire last
Titans
season was set in
Titans
Gotham.
is the So if Titans is the anyway, anything I can say will get political, so I'm just going to leave it. Just okay. Yes. What Tom said.
Anyway,
the announcements at Anaheim, California.
Yes. So they dropped the, which we will come back to in Trailer Trash, the Andor trailer, based on Cassian Andor. Who
Excellent.
I'm very excited for that show. I think it's going to be sick, especially if they go down. Like, he was pretty brutal in Rogue One. Like, no hesitation to just assassinate a guy because he would get him in trouble. Like, I think it's going to show a darker side of the rebellion, which is cool. And it seems to focus a lot on Mon Mothma in the early days of the Empire taking over the Senate. So that kind of hopefully not the super boring politics side of Star Wars, trade negotiations and all the meme-worthy content.
The next series, Star Wars Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
I found the trailer very interesting. There was a lot of sound cues within the trailer. It started with the guy in the bell tower.
We should talk about it in the
playing-
trailer section, though, Dan.
Oh, okay. Fuck
Sorry
it.
to cut you off.
Okay.
Otherwise, there's not going to be any talking while I'm playing the trailer, and then I get in trouble with the IP police.
I forgot we
copyright.
weren't talking here. This is just news.
No.
Yes, continue.
Sorry.
Bad Batch Season 2 is coming. I'll just rattle off the list. We've got Season 2 of Visions, the
Looking forward
anime
to that.
anthology series, which is really cool. New series Skeleton Crew, which is a younger group of, I'm guessing, like kind of Earth-based humans somehow end up in the Star Wars galaxy. But that's
fuck,
got
nice.
Favreau and...
Sorry, Dan.
I think it's younger cast except for Jude Law. That's what it was kind of saying.
As long as it doesn't end up being
just-
another Caravans of Courage series, it's all
No,
good.
that's all right. As long as it's Star Wars based, we don't need this fucking crossover with the real world. As long as they're just from another backwater planet and they've got to get out somewhere.
They might be. Maybe I've read that wrong. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, that's the basic premise of that show. Ahsoka has essentially got like a release window of 2023. They're also going to bring in the live action versions of the Rebels crew. So they've already cast Sabine Wren, who is the Mandalorian warrior that was in the Rebels. They brought, and the way they did it was kind of cool on stage. She walked, it had Rosario Dawson on stage talking about how she's excited for this, and then you heard Chopper, the droid, from off stage, and then he rolled on, so they had like an actual Chopper droid already ready to go, which is cool. But then you'll get Hera, who's the pilot, and they were going to bring in
Ezra.
They didn't say if they were going to bring in Ezra, but they had him in the artwork as well. So that'll be fun for that. Mando
Rebels-
season 3.
Rebels ended.
Yeah.
Pete, you haven't seen the end of Rebels, so I'm going to spoil the entire lot
That's
for
fine.
you for the last 2 seconds.
It's only been out for about 10 years, man. It's my fault.
Ahsoka and Sabine leave the very end of Rebels to go and find Ezra. That is how Rebels ends.
Right.
Yeah. So that's cool. And it's nice to see more live action versions of existing characters, and Mando season 3 is coming in February of 2023. They've already started working on season 4. They've also said. And then the other one, which I found was really cool, is they're going to be an anthology series, kind of like called Tales of the Jedi, which is going to visit various. It's animated, but it's going to visit various Clone Wars era Jedis throughout points in their life. And Liam Neeson is going to be back to voice Qui-Gon Jinn. Which is a nice little thing. But yeah, they talked about focusing on Ahsoka and Count Dooku. So that was the main big ones. And then the other thing that happened at Celebrations, being Lucasfilm and not entirely Star Wars related, they also dropped the Willow trailer, which we'll talk about later. And they showed the first...
Can I drop a massive bombshell here?
Yes.
I've never seen Willow.
Oh, wow. It is a cult classic. I mean, it's up there with Dark Crystal.
Yeah, it's just one of those ones that I've seen bits of all the time when it's been on TV, but I've never actually watched it from start to finish. And when it got mentioned in the chat, I'm like, you know what? I have to watch that before the next recording. And I just
It's going to be hard, I think. I don't know how well it's aged. I must admit, I haven't seen it in 10 years.
I haven't seen it in years, but I always remember Val Kilmer's sword play in it. I don't know why, but that stuck with me. Yeah.
And Peck. But it was one of those series I watched like hundreds of times when I was a kid. I think we had it on VHS, and it was just something that you just cycled through, along with the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and the original Star Wars. They're on common rotation.
Yeah. But yeah, that was kind of it for Celebration. Oh, they showed the first image of Indy 5 as well, and with Harrison Ford in it.
You got to get one more in before he retires.
And then the other bit was cool, which I thought was really nice, is Harrison Ford and John Williams had a very kind of really nice moment on stage where they introduced and thanked each other for all the thing. It was like Yeah, they got John Williams up to perform, and he's 90, and he got up there and conducted the orchestra, and they did the Kenobi theme. It was, it was pretty cool. Jealous. I really wanted to go. Imagine that.
So I have a talking point just on all of the Star Wars announcements, because it tied into a thought process behind like the latest Marvel intellectual properties have been bringing out, the TV series and the movies, and like I'm noticing a shift, and I wanted to know if you guys agreed. I'm noticing a shift where Marvel properties are starting to become more specifically targeted at adults or kids, as opposed to kind of the previous movements in the movies being kind of aimed at both, so that the adult themes kind of went over the heads of the kids. The kids still had something spectacular to look at and kind of watch and enjoy. It's pretty common stuff, right? Throw some stuff in for the adults, but it's not too hardcore, it's not too scary, it's not too sexual. It's, you know, the themes aren't too complicated. And anything that isn't appropriate for them kind of flies over the head. But if you look at the latest stuff coming out, like Mansions of Madness, where the fuck did that come from?
Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah, thank you. The Multiverse of Madness, the themes in that are a lot fucking darker. Moon Knight, Mac and fuckers left and right. There's no holds barred in that. And even if you look at Eternals, as much as it was a pretty shit film, it was a pretty average Marvel film, the themes behind Eternals... The real themes behind Eternals was whether or not there's a deity and whether or not they deserve kind of faith and believe. You know, do we believe in a higher power? That's really what was going on in that film, and that's a very adult concept. So, and then you've got stuff coming out like She-Hulk, and Miss Marvel, which are a lot more targeted to a younger audience, and so to me, it looks like Marvel's forming a bit of a dual identity where they can tailor some stuff for kids more directly without worrying about entertaining adults, and then targeting other stuff to adults without worrying too much about the kids, because some of this stuff's pushing PG-13 and M ratings. Yeah. Like some of the later stuff, you'd probably put at MMA. And I see the same themes when you look at what's coming up for Star Wars. You've got,
and that didn't even include the real kiddie stuff they're bringing out. Like they're bringing out like a young, like a child's TV show based on the High Republic books they've just been writing and comics they've been doing.
But even Andor, I mean, Andor probably there's still enough in there that an adult will watch it. We'll certainly watch fucking everything that comes out.
Andor,
world, right?
Andor's going to be more adult focused.
Andor,
way more adult focused.
What was the Star
Skeleton
Wars?
Crew?
Yes, sorry, Skeleton Crew. I'm getting myself confused.
I was actually wondering the opposite about Andor, how they were going to get their comedy sections into Andor because it was so solid, and dark.
I mean,
and this is the discussion I wanted to have with you guys. Do you agree that there seems to be a bit of a divergence in personalities of these IPs now, so that they can more directly target them at an age bracket rather than trying to cater for everyone in the same movie?
Yeah, but I also, I mean, I completely understand why they'd want to do that. Like,
Me too.
Want to get,
it's not a criticism; it's just an observation.
Yeah. No, definitely. I think they really have to if they want to, stay relevant, and make sure they keep getting people subscribing. Like, because let's be honest, that's where it comes down to, is how many people they've got subscribing. You've got to kind of have that stuff that's going to be like, the kids are going to watch that.
That's a really good point, Tom. That's a really good point in terms of a motivation or a motive.
100%, yeah.
Because I mean, what you have to be able to answer the question: why, as an adult with no children, would I want to pay money for Disney Plus? And the answer has to be because shit is targeted at me on the Disney Plus platform.
And why can you justify with all the other costs of raising kids to have the Disney Plus platform?
Oh, I think it's pretty much mandatory. It's that and diapers. They're the two things you need, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't even need to buy milk anyway. I was hoping you'd just fill the gap and let that just hit or miss. But anyway, let it just land.
I'm a bit slow today, Pete. You're going to have to give me. Can't just drop these zingers on me every left, right, and center. I think it's definitely for that. It's it's something, but then it's parents justifying it, being like, well, there's stuff for me, and then there's stuff I can show my kid when they're a bit older, and I know it's going to pay dividends for years to come if that content's still on there, which I'm sure it will be.
So it's funny. Cool. So I'm not the only one that kind of picked up on those themes of that divergence. I think it's a good thing. It means we're going to get darker movies that are more directly engaging with our sense of humor and our sense of light and dark shade and complex themes. I think it's a good outcome if that's what they're doing.
No, definitely. I think it's just future-proofing what they're doing.
Having said that, I think it's good for the soul to every now and then as an adult sit back and watch a kids movie. I watched, I had a friend come over the other day who wanted just to watch something light and easy, and we watched Pete's Dragon. I think it's Pete's Dragon, the live-action movie on with Carl Urban. It's actually really fucking good. Anyway.
Oh, you find it? I'm probably, to comfort myself, in this sickness, I'm going to watch Monsters, Inc. on repeat.
That's great.
24 hours. I'll be.
And I want to go to the movies to watch Minions: The Rise of Gru.
It did look stupid. I did watch the ad for that the other day, and it was they're stupid, but I find them
they're
hilarious.
hilariously stupid.
I love the Despicable Me movies.
Yeah,
and those have always been
slapstick humor. Yeah,
but they've always also been a great example. And Monsters Inc. is the same. Is a kids targeted movie with enough adult themes woven in, appropriately to go over their heads and still get something out of it. Anyway, 100%. Sorry. Point 2 in our news. My bad.
Yeah, you tell me not to railroad the news.
No, I gave up on that a while ago. When all of Tom's mates kept saying, Tom, Pete always tells you to hurry the fuck up and move on to the next topic. And it's always Pete that derails the podcast. So I've just given up. That's just why I end up editing 4-hour fucking episodes these days.
Well, I'll be quick with the next one. So there's some big announcement streams coming up for the month of June. Keep us all entertained. Watch a lot of fancy CGI trailers. And go, ooh, and then when you get the game, you go, oh, it didn't look like that. that's not right. So the first one is actually Friday.
Division 4. Tell me it's Division 4. Sorry.
Oh, if only. No, actually, Pete, I think you'll be interested in this one. The next State of Play from PlayStation, apparently second half of it is going to focus on VR2 and the titles coming out.
I reckon they've got 20 games coming out at launch or something.
Yeah. But how many of those are PSVR 1 titles that they've just slapped a fucking logo on?
Scaled up, yeah.
And how many are games over experiences?
No, they're technology demonstrations, Dan. How many times do they have to demonstrate the same fucking technology before they just make a AAA title? Anyway.
You tell them, Pete.
I'm going to write a sternly worded letter.
Oh, I can't wait to read that. And then on the 10th of June, which is the following Friday, the Summer Games Showcase, obviously this is based in the US of A, it starts on the Friday, and then there's some streams all over the weekend from various companies. There's a Netflix one, Netflix Gaming, which is, I know, something they've been talking about getting into. But that is essentially replacing E3, which always happened in the first or second week of June.
And fuck E3. It's been shit for
E3's
4
dead.
years.
E3's dead. They didn't bring it back deliberately this year.
I remember when it was good enough that we could actually do a
full episode on it,
a live stream recording of our reactions to it, and it's just been shit ever since.
So that's your next. So Friday the 3rd. It's about 8 a.m. Sydney time, and then the June 10th. It runs all weekend, but it'll be Friday in America, so Saturday morning for us. But I think it's like 3 a.m. it starts. But that one goes for a while. The Summer Games Showcase, they call it, with that Jeff Keighley, I think his name is. He's like a big games presenter over in the US. So he's the one who puts on this Summer Games Showcase. But it's 30 plus partners, like developer partners that he's got lined up for it. So it's a pretty big lineup. But expect some new trailers, new release dates, which will be cool. And then kind of leading into the next point is new PS Plus system for those who've been paying attention. It's been launched in the Asia region. It is soon going to be hitting Australia. That's June 22nd. It's meant to be released here. They had a couple of pretty big fuck-ups in the launch in the Asia market.
Really?
Where, so, there's the concept of stacking your subscription, which you could do with the PlayStation Plus. So you could buy multiple yearly subscriptions when it went on sale, and it would just add on to it. But when people were changing over to the new one, they were saying, Well, it wasn't killing the stack. It was saying you had to pay to upgrade your existing stack rather than just figuring out the, So some dude was told he had to pay like something stupid because he had so many years on it that he was meant to pay like $8,000 to upgrade to the like top tier.
Okay, but in fairness, nowhere in the PS Plus terms has it ever said you are going to pay this annual fee this year, and for every year from now until infinity. They've always had the right to change the cost and it apply to your next normal subscription recycle.
But what they said about this was if you got the 3 tiers, so there's the 3 tiers they're going to.
PS Plus Povo Edition, Medium Edition, and Rich Fuck Edition.
Yes. They have different names, which I will go through.
I actually think PS Plus Povo has a ring to it.
Hey, you're looking at a PS Plus Povo here, all right?
I'm not going to be upgrading my sub, so it's going to be you and me, Dan.
No, I will be. I'll be the rich.
I know.
You've already done it,
market. I did. I was
He's
one of
already
those people
stacking.
who. Yeah, I had stacked a couple of years on it, but PlayStation Asia came out and said we fucked up. I'm sorry, and they did the refund. But so what's going to happen is you got the 3 tiers. The Povo tier, or just PS Plus, is $80 annually, and it gives
Which is
you
the
the
same
2
price
PS4.
now as it is now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's essentially the same thing you get now.
Yeah.
You get 2 PS4 and 1 PS5 game a month. Then you can go up to the Extra, which is $135 annually. So that gets everything that's in PS Plus, but then you also get a catalog of about 400 PS4, PS5 games that you can download at any time.
But you'll never own. And that's a really important distinction. So
yes, you own as long as your subscription is active.
Whereas the PS Plus games that we've been getting, as long as you add them to the library when they're released, even if you cancel your PS Plus subscription, you still you have the right to play those games.
Yes.
So that's a pretty important distinction. I think so. Pretty sure.
No, I thought it cancelled out once you finish it. I'm pretty sure they're gone.
I don't know. I've never cancelled my PS Plus since it came out.
I'm pretty sure that's still the same as now.
I didn't think so, but I am
We'll
wrong
look it up.
almost every fucking day. So I will Google it while Tom explains the rich fuck edition.
You need to add them to your library before they disappear from the month, but you don't. If you cancel your subscription, you don't get
that makes
access
sense.
to them.
Anyway, the rich fuck edition or the deluxe is $155. Has everything the first 2 tiers has, but you also get access to PS1, PS2, and PSP games that are being remastered, or you can play them natively on your PS5.
We upscaled from 240p to 4K, and you don't think that's going to show?
Yeah, I've seen some footage of Ape Escape from the PS1.
Yeah.
It's not the best.
I want to see fucking like Dungeons and Dragons Tactics, originally made for PSP Vita, on my 4K. Yeah, I'll pass.
The only unfortunate thing is in the States, you'd be able to get the PS Plus Premium, which is that price. We don't get that, but what comes with that is you can actually stream the PS3 games, because we don't have PS Now. But because our internet's so shit, we don't get that. They're looking at hopefully bringing it in, but I wouldn't be holding my breath. Because that's a shame. There are definitely some PS3 games that I know I missed that I wouldn't mind going back and playing, and they wouldn't look as that bad, But yeah, so that's all. 22nd of June, it'll kick over. You have the option to upgrade.
I'll probably stick with Povo Edition. To be honest, to me, at least, look, I'm not prepared to spend $135 on a catalog of PS4, PS5 games unless there's, at least 5 games across that catalog that I'd actually go out and buy if I wanted to play them enough to buy them. Obviously, at an average cost of $60, $70 a game, you only need to find 2 in the catalog and you've justified the annual subscription, because you're not actually spending $135 on that catalog. You're spending, $55? Because you're going to spend the $80 either way for the Povo, right? But you have to give them credit. There is a genuine jump in value between the middle and the top tier. There's enough people that would just stop at middle. Usually with these kinds of subscription breakdowns and any kind of marketing breakdown between 3, small, medium, large, There's a reason to buy small. That's the entry point. There's a reason to buy large because they took the best part about medium and stuck it in the large, and you end up paying just for that one feature, and you get all the shit that goes with it that you didn't want.
Yeah.
So they did a decent job of breaking this down. Just to circle back, oh God, I sound like a wanker. Just to come back to that question, Dan, on at the end of the day, it's all about
because I don't even remember what my question was.
We were talking about whether or not you lose access to your PS Plus games if you cancel. You do for the free stuff, but anywhere where PS Plus gave you a massive discount, but you still spend a few bucks, you get to keep for life.
Oh yeah, of course.
So
because you've paid for something, but not the
you were
monthly
right.
free games. Yeah,
Yeah.
I reckon you would end up getting the medium there, Pete, because at least 30 of the games in that 400 were all Ubisoft titles. So.
But I've already platinumed most of them, so it's kind of pointless. When you think about it, mate, I bought Ghost of Tsushima when it first came out, and I'm only just playing it now. 18 months later? I bought a physical copy. It's been sitting on my shelf. So having a catalogue of 400 games.
Yeah, I mean, it helps if you're playing them constantly, but yeah.
So this whole conversation you're having is actually talking me out of to just cancel my PS Plus because I don't play online with anybody anymore on the PlayStation.
You won't even be able to talk to us. Yeah, but we've been talking for 6+ months on starting to stream live.
Yeah, but
and you won't be able to do it.
None of us have had time to do it. So if that, I've still got till January next year to.
Well, maybe I should sell my
anyway.
second PS5 because it's still literally sealed in box, waiting for us to start streaming. I haven't even taken it out of the fucking JB Hi-Fi bag. It's behind me.
So, and I mean, I very rarely play any of the free games per month, so I'm not entirely sure why I paid for it for the last 2 years. But anyway.
Because GTA Online was fun.
You do. I know
you
do, and you play them through. I know you do.
Yeah, I definitely get my value out of it.
Yeah,
but Dan, you don't get cloud save games. So if your house burns down and you get a new PlayStation as part of the insurance claim, you won't be able to access any of your current save files.
I hope that is a sarcastic tone in your voice there, Peter.
Of course it is. But that's the only reason to have cloud saves. So anyway, carry on.
There we go.
And I'm playing my PC more often these days. So.
I know you are.
Yeah.
You've changed. Used to be cool.
I've joined that PC elitist crew again.
Oh.
The master race. Thanks, Dan.
New Lego, Peter.
2 new Legos of note. Two new Legos.
What's the second one?
Well, no, you talk about the first one first.
First one, BD1,
We'll
who's a little droid in Jedi Fallen Order, who sat on your back and gave you the stim packs. His little Lego set has been announced. You can pre-order that now. And it does have a little stim pack in it, which I thought was cool. They built a little Lego stim pack.
Little shot of speed in the heart. Never did anybody any damage.
Let's go with epinephrine. Let's go with something at least legal and medical. No, we're going straight to speed.
Yeah. So yes, that's for anyone who was looking at getting that one. And what's the second one, Pete?
Optimus Prime.
I thought we already talked about that one.
No, we talked about it on chat, but it hadn't actually been formalized. It was leaked, but it was formally announced via email bomb today. So Optimus Prime Lego kit, and it's a Lego kit that does actually transform between the truck and the robot, which I've got to say is a pretty impressive feat of engineering, considering it's fucking Lego. It is a kit that I will definitely not be buying because it's I think pretty sure it's about $370-$400 for the kit.
Yeah.
And I've spent quite enough on Lego for the next few months. I'm reserving. I was going to say for the next 12 months, but then they'll come out with something really cool that I really want, and I'll have to eat my hat on the episode again.
Yeah, I was about to say you're definitely going to get it. You're going to see someone get it, and you're like, oh, fuck.
Oh no! Star Wars Optimus Prime. Sorry, Star Wars. The Optimus Prime doesn't tickle my fancy enough to spend that kind of coin on it. If it was a $400 Star Wars kit, different conversation, but
yeah, right.
Anyway, Joe Queseda.
Yes, he's been instrumental in the Marvel comics for the last 22 years. Has announced he's leaving Marvel, which is a massive shame. He was responsible. He's helped launch the Ultimate Universe, which I really got into when I was, in high school.
I like the Ultimate Universe. I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
I just didn't like Gambit's perm.
No one liked
Never sat right with me, Gambit's perm.
Never sat right on him either.
It was a real odd choice for a character. I know they were going for different stuff for all of them, but you just whack a big perm on him and it just was not cool, man.
But he was also instrumental in like House of M, Civil War. Like, there's been some big Marvel events that he's had his hands in and stuff. So he hasn't said what he's going into, but hey, good luck to him. And thank you for the last 22 years of Marvel goodness.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah, I think he first came into work on Marvel Knights. That was his first project. He started the Marvel Knights series, which was a nice dark take on some of those existing characters. Got a bit more gritty and realistic, and yeah.
There's some badass Punisher Marvel Knights runs. Yeah, some great.
And Daredevil as well. Some really brutal Daredevil stuff in Marvel Knights from memory. Yeah. And then last little bit, someone else can take this. I've talked enough and I need to rest my voice.
Dan even got the run sheet open.
Yeah, I've got it open. Jedi Survivor. I wondered why Jedi Survivor wasn't in the celebrations.
It's in trailer trash later. It's in the game trailer.
In trailer trash later. So to be released 2023 PC next gen consoles only. Okay.
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting.
Picks up 5 years after Fallen Order. Hunted by the Empire. Apparently, he's lost his lightsaber already.
Yeah, I put that down
because definitely a Tom writing.
No, that's me. I wrote that.
Oh, you wrote that, did you?
Because we spent so much time rebuilding his fucking lightsaber to full power in the first game, and then in the fucking trailer for the second game, he's lost it already.
And you only get the kyber. Like, I know you could add the different kybers in there as you go if you bought them or whatever.
Yeah,
but you only actually got to physically choose the color of the kyber crystal like 20 minutes before the fucking game ended. Like, mission but it's before the final mission. Anyway.
If you want to enjoy the full power, you have to play New Game Plus.
Oh.
Still yet to find a game where I've actually committed to sitting down and playing the whole thing from the start again on a plus.
Let me get to that in 2 seconds because there was something I didn't know about a New Game Plus that is making me now wanted to go and play a New Game Plus. But anyway, Tom, we spoke about this previously in the in our chat. Pete didn't pipe up, so you saw the Grand Inquisitor in his true George Lucas designed alien form. I'm looking forward to.
Are you skipping a whole topic?
No, it's Jedi Survivor.
Okay.
Yeah, the Inquisitor's in the trailer. Yeah,
the Grand Inquisitor's in the trailer. So I'm looking forward to see that. Who do
you think's in the Bacta tank?
I have no fucking idea. I rewatched that section a couple of times just to see if there must be some little giveaway for who the fuck it is. Like, I just
really hoping it's Starkiller.
Somebody else said Starkiller as well, but
there's been a lot of talk about that. It doesn't look like
Starkiller. It's got long grey hair.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of talk about that is it Starkiller because it would be the first time that they're bringing that franchise or that intellectual property into canon through this game because this game is canon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it would then allow them to inject Starkiller references into their live action fucking universe, which would be hectic as.
Yeah, and if they're going to give him grey hair, they might age him up a bit. We might get a Sam Witwer. Witwer, is that his name? We might get a. Sorry?
Sam Whitmer.
Fuck you up,
Whitmer.
Tom.
We might get Sam Whitmer reprising the role as Starkiller alongside Ahsoka or something like that. That'd be fucking cool.
Yeah.
I know the timelines aren't right, but like, just fucking put him in there for the fucking.
I still maintain that those
cloning,
two
baby.
games,
It's cloning. It's all cloning. Somehow Palpatine returned. It's all
there's
cloning.
More back to, there's more tanks there.
I still maintain that Force Unleashed and the sequel had some of the most epic gameplay cinematic scenes out of any Star Wars game. When you pull the fucking Star Destroyer out of the sky from the planet, and like, it was a quick time event kind of thing, but
and it was horrible to play.
It looked amazing. Just pulling. There was such a cool factor to pulling a Star Destroyer out of the fucking sky. Anyway,
my favorite scene from both those games is still the initial escape from Kamino.
Yeah, that was fucking
In
cool.
the start of the second one, I always thought that was pretty fucking cool.
I really enjoyed those. They called them run for your life sections.
Yeah.
Where you were either falling
Because you're
and
up
you had
against
to-
infinite bad guys.
Well, it was always something where you were falling or getting away from a location, and you were dodging in that, and that's what it called. They called them run for your life, and it was you had limited control over a linear aspect of the game. It wasn't quite a quick time thing, but it was a limited control play out of of something that was happening. Yeah.
Which one of your dogs is crying?
That's mine.
If he doesn't reprise his role as Starkiller, the other person I can really see easily playing him in a live action would be Michael Fassbender. He has the same kind of facial structure. He's quite often bald, not bald, but buzz cut in series. He actually looks quite a lot like the original Starkiller modeling, which I know in turn was mocapped off the actor you were talking about. I get it.
Which actually looked like him.
I know, but I reckon Fassbender's pretty darn close.
Nah, they'd bring Sam back because
Oh,
he'd be
100%.
If he's
a million
available to
times
do
cheaper.
it, and if he's available to do it and he's got the acting chops, because I don't know anything about the guy.
Sorry?
No, he's good. He voices he does all the voice acting for Maul.
Voice acting versus acting on screen.
He's in Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
He's Crashdown.
I don't remember him in
First season
Crashdown.
of Battlestar Galactica. I think he dies in like the third episode or something like that. But
So he's a red shirt. I don't know if you want to put that on your resume as a good actor.
he was Boomer's co-pilot in the first few episodes of I'm sure he was Crashdown.
I believe you.
in
I just
the first few episodes of Battlestar. Fuck, man, that's pushing my memory because that was
Yeah,
like 2005 or something.
yeah. I'm watching Star Trek DS9 now, so I'm right there with you. and it's only just occurred to me how similar the whole concept of Deep Space Nine as a Star Trek spaceship or space station was to the Atlantis station. They even look the fucking same. Anyway, I need to go get my second beer. So, do you guys
Want
want
to get your second beer?
Well, I'm already
We can start on-
halfway through drinking mine, so 3/4 way through drinking mine.
I've got.
Do we want to start on, because I wanted to kind of just quickly have a quick check-in on what we thought about the first two episodes of Obi-Wan. I have no intention of turning this podcast into a blow-by-blow, week-by-week kind of recap.
No.
But I think initial
we
thoughts are
can
relevant.
Yeah, because we got kind of 2 episodes between recordings.
Yeah.
As it is.
And I kind of think we should take a break then. I know we're talking about planning out the show in the middle of listeners listening to the show, but I think we should take a break and then come back into trailer trash and then the big topic.
Sure.
So
you go on and get your second beer.
Well, you guys discuss while I go and get my second beer. It'll only take 2 seconds.
Okay, bye-bye. He's gone, finally. We can drop as many C-bombs as we want.
And hide them all in
we
there.
won't.
Don't tell him.
Yeah, and then he freaks out again.
Don't tell him.
No,
to
we
release.
won't do that.
Are you drinking a second beer, or are we talking about Obi-Wan?
Got my second beer. I'm going to quickly pour it. It's gonna.
Well, I did buy the Miso beer. So it's a garage project. It's. I can't tell whether it's
GP2.
Oh, are you? I can't tell whether it's the goddamn label's so sparkly and holographic. I can't, in my limited light in here, I can't actually read the text on there. Beyond the Pale, all in the model 2022 is what it says. It's
that's their beer for the Fringe Festival in NZ, I think.
Oh, okay, yes, it does say Fringe on there.
Yeah, they do like.
I can probably read it better on the camera than I can in person.
So it's Beyond the Muddle by Garage Project?
Yeah, all in this. There's like a holographic line work through the label.
Yeah, I can see
So
it. That looks sick.
it's hitting the light and really distorting the text on it. But this is the Miso beer. So beer contains water, malt, hops, yeast. Yeah, good. Yep, all the base components there. We're winning already. Miso, black pepper, strawberry, and hibiscus.
Yep.
So I did get the Miso beer.
So it's Beyond the Pale, all in a muddle.
Yeah, something like that.
2022.
Beyond the Pale, All in the Muddle 2022. Yes. All I get is strawberry. There's so much strawberry with like the hibiscus in there. I don't get miso and I don't get black pepper. So that really upsets me because when I read the can in the Q Cellars, hello to Wen.
Hey, Wen. Haven't seen you in ages, man.
Really looking forward to seeing what Garage Project would do with all of those flavors combined. So it's nice. Don't get me wrong. It's a really nice strawberry goza, I guess.
Yeah.
It's very dry. The strawberry gives it that little bit of sweetness to it, but it's not a malt sweetness or a sugar sweetness. It's kind of that sweetness that like sits on your teeth and it just comes through for the next sort of 10 or 20 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a really nice strawberry goza. I just don't get black pepper and miso out of it, which is sad.
Offering a mind-bending blend of
glad
lush
you can read it.
umami, fruit sweetness, refreshing acidity, and restrained peppery heat. It's interesting. It's listed as a black pepper kettle sour, but you're saying it's more like a goza, which I guess is the umami that they're talking about.
Yeah, well, maybe that umami is giving that back palate sort of saltiness to it. Maybe that's what. I mean, I guess miso is to an extent salty.
Yes, it definitely is.
So that's probably why it's tricked me in that aspect. But thankfully, I'm not talking out my ass completely when it says subtle fruit sweetness. Yeah, it's nice. It is very nice, but just not as sort of rounded on those more interesting flavor profile outside of the strawberry and hibiscus that I was kind of hoping for. I was kind of hoping as like just a fucking mic drop Garage Project beer. Like the rest of you fuckers that like we're gonna put fucking miso, strawberry, and black pepper in a fucking beer and like just
and you're
mic drop, walk out of the room and just be done.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yep.
So out of 5?
I would give it 3.5 because
3.5.
it's just missing those extra characters to it, but it is a very well made quality product.
Just for my own curiosity, is that a canned in New Zealand one or canned in Australia version?
Ooh.
Because that could be why maybe it's not as in your fucking face as you're expecting.
Because it might have softened on the boat.
Brewed and canned by Garage Project, 68 Argo Street, New Zealand, Wellington. Yep.
Okay.
So it has
New
traveled.
Zealand one.
Yep.
Does it say when it was brewed?
It might look like there's a fair bit of light in this room, but there is not a fair bit of light in this room.
Okay. We'll leave that. We'll let that one through the wiki.
Best before 1st of the 11th, 22. So
12 months.
I would
November?
say recently. They've probably put 9 months on it.
Okay.
Maybe over 6 months. Yeah. So I would say fairly recently.
Nice.
Sweet.
What are
Tom?
you drinking, Peter?
Oh, okay. Me. All right.
you can go
I'm
next.
going down the color path tonight. So sour to start.
Following the yellow brick road.
I am. So I'm now onto a Hefeweizen, followed by a Schwarzbier, and then I'm going to be finishing with a fucking big black Baltic porter. So this is fucking juggling. This is Moo Brew's Hefeweizen.
Hefeweizen. Yep. Old school, man.
Yeah, real old
classic.
school. Classic Bavarian style wheat beer, a style too good to mess with, and I could not agree more in this case. It is point on style. You get that real farmhousey Belgian yeast hit. It's a really light. I mean, you probably can't see that, and that's condensation. It is a clear beer. It's not. It's an unfiltered beer, but it's really solid mouthfeel, and like nothing too out of character for a Hefeweizen. It's not loud. It's not obnoxious. It doesn't punch you in the face with hop notes. It's that Belgian yeast in a really light, easy to drink beer.
Nice.
And I'm going to give it. I don't know. I think it's point on style, so I've got to say like a 4.25.
And it's German, not Belgian.
Classic, Bavarian style. But you get that when I talk about Belgian yeast,
Max,
you know what I'm talking about, right?
Well,
That farmhousey.
yeah, and no, but yeah. Belgian yeast.
Technically, no, but colloquially, yes, is what I'm getting.
Yeah, but they're all Western Europe. It's just like.
Oh, why wasn't? I didn't go. They all look the same to me. That's not what I was saying.
Well, I didn't say that either. But you did. They share a border.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah?
When I say Belgian yeast, what I mean is that real farmhousey twang that you get out of
You're
this
about to
coffee.
start like a little like rap mic drop. When I say Belgian yeast, you say phenolic yeast, phenolic.
Yes, but that's not this show,
bad
Tom.
brewery jokes right there. Jesus, that was.
Max would even argue that Bavaria is part of Germany. So I think we've covered this before, but yeah.
Yeah, we're just fucking. Usually, it's the other kind of politics that we're avoiding, but geopolitics. Dive right in, Dan.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone that listens
Straight
to
up
us
geography
gives a
textbook.
shit.
Why not?
So it is literally just called. So it's Moo Brews Hefeweizen.
Hefeweizen,
They didn't
yeah.
feel a need to name it anything fancy. The cans
man,
not particularly fancy. It's quite understated. It just has
All Moo Brew stuff is, yeah. It's all just nice, simple.
unassuming,
clean.
just fucking good quality beer. Speaks for itself. I like it.
Branding's been doing wonders for almost a decade now. It's got to be close to a
Would
decade.
be. Yeah, would be close to. Yeah.
I'm very happy with that. Carry on.
Excellent. I am also drinking a Garage Project beer. I am drinking the Transit of Venus, which is their a hazy riff on their classic Venetian Pale Ale, the Venetian-inspired Pale Ale, which we've done before.
That's in Italy.
Thanks, Pete.
Since I just got a fucking lecture about borders and shit.
No. Pete's got me on a technicality here because I mispronounced. I should have said
It's
Venusian,
Venusian.
as in Venus.
Where
Yes,
women come from.
not-
Got it. Okay.
Yes, we're not talking about
Not
where...
the guys that
where-
make the
where-
blinds.
No. We're not talking about the Pope. Not talking about, hiding people with bad... Never mind.
Yeah, let's just move the fuck on, yo.
But this is their collab with the Phoenix Foundation, which I have... If someone could look that up for me, that'd be great while I
I
talk
will
about
look
the
it
beer.
up now. Sounds like a charity.
Yes. So this is a beer they've done for that.
Or a band.
They've...
I couldn't have been more wrong. Phoenix Foundation is an indie rock band formed in Wellington, New Zealand.
There we go. Fuck me, I should probably do some
Not a
research on the
charity.
beers I buy. Sounds like it.
He
Anyway.
got such a good feeling that he was donating to some good, worthy cause.
Well, no, I just bought it from a bottle shop, though. It's fine.
Plus indie rock bands are a good
the only
worthy
reason I
cause.
picked this one up is because of the Venusian Pale Ale that we tried before.
Not really
Purely
made
for
in
that.
Venice. Or Venus.
It was for the boys on the Venusian front. That's why I remember that one, because I got to read the label. So this Amarillo, Citra, and Centennial hops, it's not super, super cloudy. Kind of like, thinks it looks pretty similar to the Ocean Reach one that Dan had before. They've added to it some lemongrass, makrut, lime leaf, and grapefruit. And unfortunately, I have to penalise myself for this one. I've kept this one in the fridge for so long, it has gone past its best before date.
Dope.
So there is, even with my dulled senses right now, I still get a bunch of that grapefruit and that like citrus notes from the lime, but it's definitely not as pronounced as I think it would have been when it would have been fresh.
When it was in date and you
when it
weren't
was in
affected
date.
by
It is
a flu.
literally it is 11 days out of date.
Oh.
But I know it has been sitting in my fridge for a while, and I keep meaning to save it for podcasts, and then I keep forgetting about it because I get other beers which excite me a little bit more.
And an NZ Pale is probably not going to age well. I mean, a dark beer you can sit in your fridge for a year, no problems. But
No. Once you go past that best before, you lose a lot of that hop note, and there's not a lot. Like normally, Citra ones kind of punch you in the face with that citroness, but it's still very enjoyable. It is a best before, not use by, so it's still perfectly safe to consume. It's 5.6%. It's very sessionable. I'm hoping they rebrew it and I get to taste it a bit fresher. I think it'd be cracking. I love it when they put a little bit of bit more citrus into a hazy pale like that. I think it'd go really well. So I think the reason I mentioned that it's out of its date because it does kind of skew the mark that I imagine it would be better had it been fresh. But so it's like a self penalty. So Tom loses.
A point.
5 points.
Does that mean they get 6 out of 5?
So I'm more judging on what I think it would have been fresh, which would have been a solid 4. I think it would have been. As it's tasting now, it would be closer to a 3, but that is my fault. So
we're going to give it a projected 4 out of 5.
A projected 4 pixels out of pints. That I would give that, and that's why you should always check the best before dates on cans. Don't be an idiot like me.
And rotate.
Learn from your mistakes, son. And that's yeah. Certain beers age well, certain beers don't, and that's the lesson we've all learned today. I expect a full-page report on my desk Monday. Thank you very much.
I'm hoping the beers I'm saving for you guys age well. I think they should.
I think the ones you've got will. Yeah.
Jump in the Shark, I think, was a dark.
Yeah, but they're meant to be aged, those Jump in the Shark beers.
Yeah, because it's barrel aged, so it should actually. Well, if anything, it might get a little bit more complex. And the strong ale that Dan had a fucking veritable mouthgasm on podcast over. I bought another one off. Shall we quickly talk about it?
Ale, wasn't it?
It was a golden ale. So it won't age quite as well, but it's still pretty sure it's fucking bourbon barrel aged. So it'll maintain that complexity and punch. Might just some of the subtlety might disappear. So quick topic just before we go into break. What are our initial... Jesus, let me try that again. What are our initial thoughts on the Obi-Wan series?
Who's jumping in first?
I fucking love it. Obi-Wan's back.
I was like a kid in a candy store watching it, I've got to say. I was super excited.
Emma's favourite part was coming home and I was wearing my Chewie robe because it was cold. Star Wars themed. I didn't go put on my Obi-Wan costume to watch Obi-Wan. I got this close, but I didn't do it. But I was sitting there. Jasper was like lying next to me, but I had my hood up. So she just walked in and there was a shot of Obi-Wan like he was hooded up as well. And we were both just sitting there just being like, So that made her laugh. I like that it's already traveled to several planets that are not Tatooine. Tatooine obviously holds a special place in my heart as like a shitty dust bowl of a planet.
And it's definitely going to be the prime location for the series as a whole.
Yeah, but seeing Alderaan in its prime, that was so cool. It was really cool to have Jimmy Smits back as Bail Organa as well. I thought that was a really good touch. I said this to Dan in chat that the Grand Inquisitor's look didn't bug me as much as I thought it would. And the same with the fifth brother. My reasoning for that was coming from the fact that the Rebels show, the artwork for that is quite angular compared to what we do.
Yeah.
I do agree with what Dan says, though, in that we already have a live action
reference and they haven't aligned to it.
But I guess my counterpoint to that would be, not every alien needs to look a carbon copy. I think that kind of adds some little race diversities, but yeah, I get where he's coming from. We have seen these creatures or these alien species in live action before with Obi-Wan again. So it's I can see why that would be annoying for a bunch of people. I didn't find it that bad. Moses Ingram as the third sister, I think is great.
It's weird.
She's the poster child for the rule of two. Like, that is why you only have two Sith, because they will fucking murder each other any chance they get to one-up each other. I think that was cool. I really liked the fact that she was that blind ambitious. I thought I saw a review that said they were confused as why the fifth brother was so reserved and like almost borderline compassionate, like he was handing out rewards rather than like... Whereas she was like, I will just straight up murder people in the street.
Yeah.
Which I definitely, it kind of weirded me out that he was a bit more like, I don't know. Maybe it's because he's following a specific order from Vader or whatever. But yeah, it's
or he was just, like you. I guess we don't really know how much individuality there is in the Inquisitor order, in terms of personality.
There's a lot. Because they've been completely covered in the comic books and Rebels and all of that.
Okay, so I presume that they each have unique personalities, and those personalities come into play in the way they act, right? So his perspective was pretty clear. He believed in the subtle spider will catch the fly. You set the web out. You don't fucking announce yourself. You don't push. You set traps and you sit back and you wait. And that was kind of what I got out of him.
They're all pretty brutal because they are all Dark Jedi.
That's the thing for me. Yeah,
I didn't get any impression that he was a sop. Just that he wasn't the sort of guy that's going to walk in the middle of town and start blasting.
Yeah, I'll have to do some bit of back history on that and see whether he was one of the ones that was really harshly punished by Vader for doing something like not calling Vader in and going down one of the like hunting someone down, because I know it was the seventh sister or something like that. She's one of the really big alien race ones, and Vader just punishes her at one stage and chops one of her hands off. And
Nice.
just says, like, every time she reaches for something, it's like that.
Yeah.
What the second sister did. Third sister? What was she?
Third sister.
Third sister. Did to the person on Tatooine. Probably because she saw Vader do it to the seventh sister.
Yeah.
And he's like, every time she reaches for something now, she'll think of me, kind of thing. Like, as this, don't go against my orders. So I'll do some research on the fifth brother and see if he's had a run-in with Vader, which is why he's mellowed to an extent.
a bit more reserved. Yeah, held back.
I didn't feel the need to do any research into what was said behind the scenes, but I found it disappointing and a little disgusting that Disney felt strongly enough about the racist comments that they'd received around Moses.
Oh yeah, it's fucked.
It's
around Moses.
ridiculous.
And obviously
To the point where Ewan McGregor came out today and released a video being like, "You guys disgust me." Everyone who said that, like, basically you're disgusting.
I don't even know what they said, and we don't want to talk about it on the show.
We don't. Yeah, I haven't said
I'm not
anything
even
they've said,
interested. But like, really, it's like, you've got Kumail Nanjiani.
He was fucking hilarious.
Fucking oath
pretty
he
fucking
was.
funny.
I love that he's a fraudulent Jedi. Like, it's so perfectly suited to the actor. But like, talk about a multicultural cast, and they chose to have it. Yeah, anyway, Vivian Lyra Blair, the girl who plays Leia Organa as a kid, stole the fucking show for me for both episodes. She is so perfectly cast. It made me get a little emotional, not teary, but not quite that far, but certainly emotional that as to how well she portrays a child that you can easily see turning into the Leia Organa we know from the original trilogy.
Oh yeah, when she turned and fucking brutalized her cousin.
Yeah.
With only words.
Yeah. And even the subtlety that she's a bit snooty, but not in a way that annoys the audience. She certainly understands power dynamics at an extremely young age, and she uses it without being a bitch about it. And Leia Organa in the original trilogy was quite like that too. She's a little bit snooty, but not annoyingly so. And I just think the subtlety to be displayed by a kid who's got to be, 7, 10? Somewhere in there, 2012. So she's 10 years old. I just think that, she's actually 9 at the moment.
She's 9 playing a 10-year-old, yeah. But it's she's acting well beyond her years.
She stole the show for me. I don't remember seeing Hayden Christensen in the first 2 episodes. Do you?
Yeah, at the end of episode 2, you see him in the Bacta tank as Vader. That's him.
Yes. I don't remember seeing him in the first step. It's funny because his build is being in all 6 episodes, and
maybe they're talking about, like, they did the recap thing. Oh, the dream. The Obi-Wan's dream. It would have been that because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Dan, what are your thoughts, mate?
I thought it was great. I loved that Obi-Wan had cut himself off from the Force. I hadn't really picked up on that until later in episode 2. I'm avoiding as much spoiler there as I can.
Spoilers, yeah.
When he woke up in the cave in Tatooine and was trying to talk to Qui-Gon, I've kind of gone like, okay, rightio, because the Force Ghosts aren't there at the beck and call. And we've seen that from Luke when he spoke to Ben many a times throughout the original trilogy. And Ben wasn't there at certain stages. So I didn't think of it there, but it just ties it back to The Last Jedi as to that is something. And he did it for a reason. He did it to hide himself. He did it to hide Luke. The whole Leia story caught me off guard. I didn't know there was going to be any form of Leia in this whatsoever.
Yeah, neither did I. Yeah,
I
I
agree.
thought it was great. The city on the second episode,
Dayu, it's called, apparently.
Dayu, I thought that was really well played out. I thought it felt like a big city.
It reminded me of when they went to Coruscant in the second, not a Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones. Attack of the Clones?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I got Supreme Nar Shaddaa vibes, like just a gangster run planet.
That's what it felt like to me, Nar Shaddaa, yeah. That I thought that was really great, and I thought all of Obi-Wan's hand-to-hand stuff, those fights were excellently choreographed. I thought it was fantastic. I just thought all of those.
I really like that he
subtleties
hurt himself, like he'd forgotten
Yes.
his training a bit, and he was like, "Fuck."
Yeah, I thought it was great. I thought all those bits and pieces and the revelation that Obi-Wan gets at the end of episode 2 that the third sister, I've forgotten what she is again now. Second or third?
Third sister.
Third sister delivers to Obi-Wan, and the absolute revelation on his face that what came about there, and it was brilliantly acted. And I've just gone, oh fuck! Of course he didn't know. And that was a real holy shit. It's been fucking 10 years. You know who this guy is, but you don't know who this guy is.
Yeah,
and that was a real revelation to me. And my last comment is the Aussie guy that plays
Joel Edgerton.
Owen Lars. Yep, Joel Edgerton.
Yeah,
really fell into that original guy
Grumpy
from The
Owen,
New
yeah,
Hope, the accent. He just just
it's
rolled
perfect
words
all
out.
round.
You'd be like, you are gonna turn into this dude in like another 10 years. Like that is like
it's more like, hopefully it's more like 50 years, but yeah.
Well, it wasn't. It was 10 years.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, okay. I was thinking it from New Hope. Anyway, carry on.
In the timeline, it's 10 years
it
until
is
that
10
character
years.
transforms.
I did see a very funny meme that you guys would both appreciate today, and it was a photo of Joel Edgerton as Owen Lars, and then a photo of the burnt crisp of him and Aunt Beru, and then it's Palpatine from Episode 3 being, "It's ironic. He could roast others, but couldn't save himself from being roasted." It's just really got me. Oh, it got me in the funnies.
Sorry, I know I said my last comment, but my very, very last comment was I turned to Louise at one stage when Obi-Wan and Leia ended up finding Leia, and they were trying to get to the transport, and I said, "We know how this plays out, but the tension and is like palpable. Like you know that they're going to be all right. Like you've known for decades they're going to be all right. You know how their story ends, but they had played it. It was like, what the fuck is going to happen here? Like it just built so well, and I thought it was great. It was
I agree.
Brilliantly directed, was well scripted, well acted, and beautifully
the only disappointment
costumed.
Yeah, you're right. The costuming was excellent. The settings were
I like
excellent.
his updated robes.
The
I want a set of those.
The CGI is practically seamless. The only disappointment I have about Obi-Wan is it's only going to be 6 episodes for the season. We're already a third of the way through.
But I agree.
I've
talked to a few people about that, and I kind of think it's like you're gonna get you're not gonna have to do a filler episode.
No. But we're
I
way
think it's
past
gonna be-
filler episodes. There's been no filler in any of the Star Wars TV series to come out recently.
Oh, I beg to differ from your guys' perspective because I remember everyone talking about the 4, 5, 6 episodes 4, 5, 6 in Mando season 1 when they go off.
Yeah.
I think I was the only one who was like, I fucking love those episodes. Everyone else was like, oh, they were a bit filler.
Yeah. I think season 2 was empty of filler. I think season 2 chugged along at a pretty good pace.
We'll have to go back and rewatch now.
One thing I found particularly, and I didn't think, at first I was like, it hit me towards the end of the first episode. The look of, like, the way that Ewan McGregor played that recurring scene of him cutting off the bit of meat.
Yeah, the crate dragon meat. Or it wasn't a crate dragon.
That wasn't a crate dragon. No, it was but whatever creature that was, I wasn't even sure. But just the way it was done the same way and showing the monotony of the life he had chosen to lead to keep Luke safe, that hit me hard.
Yeah.
It did not hit me as hard as seeing Tamara Morrison as a clone veteran. And that is a big spoiler for like a throwaway little scene. Very interesting as well. That is the first time that Tamara actually wore clone armor. He can
right.
that
CG.
Yeah. So seeing the unemployable 501st veteran just sitting there looking haggard as all shit, and the fact that Obi-Wan still, even though he was hunted to death by them, he was still like, we were brothers in war. Like, I can't be mad at you. Those two things really got to me, like just the way that Obi-Wan had cut himself off and gone into that monotonous thing, and it was because it was so deliberately done the same way each time. And sure, maybe they recycled the shot, but
no,
because it was slightly different.
Yeah, there were
hair was
differences.
off a bit. Yeah. But,
oh, and the background, the other people in the shots were different too.
Yeah, but just the look on his face as he was just like, I've got to, screw all this away and do this and stuff. It was just that this was the great Jedi General, and he's just kind of reduced to this.
He got called out
for me.
He got called out on exactly that point without going into any spoilers. So anyway,
so I'm very excited. Very excited to watch.
You've nailed it again.
The third episode, which is obviously released as we're recording. It's live.
Is it?
Yeah, they've moved it to Wednesdays.
Ah.
It was just
I expect
premiere.
it to be Fridays as well.
Nah, the premiere, they did the premiere because it tied in with Star Wars Celebration.
Okay.
So it's back. Wednesday releases for the next episodes.
Cool.
Nice.
But yeah, so far so good. Loving it. Really keen to see how this realization that comes to light and works for Obi-Wan, his grand one at the end of episode 2 without spoiling it. Yeah. How that comes to light and how it affects him. And yes, it's going to be... And it's just great to have Ewan McGregor back as Obi-Wan. That really just works wonders for me.
He's so perfect for the role, and he always was.
The little Jawa interaction as well was very, very good. That was nice. That was a nice little interjected comedy after some pretty depressing repeated scenes. Yeah. It was good.
Agree.
Cool. Break time.
All right. Yeah, let's take a quick break, and we'll hit this back half with gusto.
Hey, hey,
and we're back.
Isn't that how they do it in the...
No, they go 5, 4.
Haven't you seen Wayne's World?
This man blows goats. Yes.
I wish that could be the episode title. Right, so let's kick off.
I'm gonna railroad it here, right here. Like as soon as we're back from the break, I'm gonna railroad it after that fucking Wayne World reference. Have either of you started watching the Pentaverate?
No. It keeps popping up. Keeps popping up.
I know a guy who wrote for that.
Oh, really?
Really?
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it good enough to
really
watch,
cool.
Dan? Because
it's dumb fucking Mike Myers humor, and like it was really.
I don't know
funny.
if I'm
like,
in the mood for that lately.
A few. It's borderline. If it wasn't Mike Myers, they would not be getting away with it. Like it's that close.
Okay.
It's that borderline. Some of the shit.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be one of those ones that I'm going to be like sitting there with, Emma's, we've watched some stuff. Emma's passed out, and I'm just like, I'm going to put something stupid on.
Yeah, it is stupid. It is. It really, really is. But I was only thinking a couple of weeks before it came out. Fuck, we haven't seen Mike Myers in ages. Like, I just wonder what he's going to get up to when he finally does something again. And then, 2 weeks later, that came out. I don't know whether I subconsciously saw an article somewhere one of those shitty BuzzFeed clickbait ones that had something about Mike Myers, and it just came into my head, and then it was just all of a sudden there because it was serendipitous, to say the least.
Maybe you're watching some horror and you saw Michael Myers and thought, I wonder what Mike Myers is doing.
It just it's dumb humor. It really is dumb humor. But
the trailer didn't nab me on Netflix. And like I said, look, it's got to be better than Morbius. Just saying, no matter how fucking stupid and ridiculous it is, it's got to be better than Morbius, and I have to blank that word out. Damn. Anyway.
Lucky clip.
Should we talk about our third beers before getting into trailer trash?
Yes.
So
Dan, you should go first so that Pete and I can go simultaneously now.
So I went to One Drop for the first time a few weeks ago. Had never been there. Had plenty of One Drop beers. It was a very good friend of mine, Blair, for Blair Sayer Illustrations. It was his 50th. So we went across there. So he does most of the One Drop artworks. So he had his 50th birthday there. We got out there, and they had a New Zealand hazy or a New Zealand something or a New Zealand pale or something like that, and it was fucking excellent. Loved it. Really, really loved it. And then I remembered I had seen somewhere that Balter was doing a New Zealand series on certain things. There's New Zealand IPA and there's a New Zealand pale, I think, or a New Zealand lager of some sort. And so I saw this in the fridge today. I'm like, yep, I'm going to get that. I really hope it's good. It is. It's really fucking good. It's a very nice, nicely, beautifully clear, New Zealand IPA. Could use a touch more bitterness, but that New Zealand hop character is all up front. It's crazy
55
clean.
IBU, apparently.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like 55 IBUs.
That's why I made comment on it and interrupted your flow, because it didn't sound like it.
I made one. I made a small batch one the other day because we got our new little kit in, and we made it at 50 IBUs. And I tried that today, and I'm like, man, this doesn't feel like 50 IBUs. Maybe I'm just wearing out in my old age. But
you're just too bitter already that you can't fuck this anymore. Yeah.
The New Zealand hop character coming through in that is fantastic, and it's really once again really smashable for what it is. It's 7%. So I lied when all of mine. I said mine was 6 and under.
How fucking dare you?
I love the description they've put on this beer.
I haven't read it, so
shall I read it out quickly? Fire up your kisser and hold on to your jandals. This beer will throw you from face to feet. The second stop in our NZ experience, Motueka and Nectaron rev their hop engines for a liquid delight. Lime, jelly, and marmalade notes swirl with white peach and refined grassy resin, all strapped together with a firm malt structure. Clear and bright as a mountain lake, NZ IPA is a jet boat ride for your mouth. I think that's that's really well written as a blurb.
It is well written. That flavor profile, as you were saying, I'm like, yeah. I don't do this very often, especially not for something that's not independent.
I'm going to give it a 5. Wow.
I'm going to give it a 5. I think it's fucking bang on brief. It's clean. It's beautifully made, and it's just nice and different too. Different to an extent, but it's just it's fucking great. It's like, yeah,
cool,
good. Very, very good.
Nice.
So I hope my last beer lives up to the hype that I have given it, because
Yeah, you've talked it up.
I want my last beer to be fucking spectacular, so I hope it is.
I'm hoping mine will be too, and I've taken it out of the fridge, even though it's 11 degrees outside at the moment. My house is getting toasty because I've got the aircon on, and I want this thing to warm up and open up before I uncan it. So we'll see. Our third beer for the evening.
Our third beer.
This is talking about serendipity earlier, Dan. Tom and I, with no discussion or prior planning, randomly picked up. Not only did we pick up the same beer to review tonight, but we both picked it third tonight.
Yeah,
without any planning.
Yeah, actually, we should point out to our listeners that we used to plan beers when we were like, "Who's grabbing beers?" and someone would be like, "Well, I'm going to get."
Yes, but we would
4.
buy 4 cans to share amongst the three of us. Not
now
buy
it's,
4 cans
when
each.
we're at home. Yeah, it's I go to the fridge and go, what 4 am I going to grab today? And as fate would have it, on this wintry evening of
it's funny,
cold that's going straight to my nethers.
Yeah, with this cold, I've been getting this real dark hankering to rewatch all of the Hobbit and Lord of the Rings movies in sequence. I don't know why. It's roasted chestnuts.
You want to go far
through.
over the Misty Mountains cold.
I don't know why. It's just
Over the Misty Mountains cold. Still got it. So Pete and I both picked up the Old Black Diamond by Jindabyne Brewing, who I do believe are still independent.
Yeah, cool.
Having a quick look at their website and socials, they're too small to really have been on anyone else's radar. Like any of the big guys, they wouldn't have picked them up.
Sounds terrible, but also true.
Yeah, and that's not a dig. That's just, I love a little microbrewery. This is their Schwarzbier, 5.2%.
They also do a double black diamond, which is their Imperial Schwarzbier.
Shit the fucking bed. I need that in my life.
I see your Schwartz is as big as mine.
And the day is Schwartz.
Oh, look out. Tom's opened another window. He's online shopping while he's trying to do a beer description.
You're absolutely right. I think
they do a red? Oh.
No, he is actually doing
those big eyes. Those big eyes are definitely going on the artwork for the podcast. So the beer. Let's talk about the beer. It is like coffee in a beer. It's such a strong
without
coffee
having
note.
Smashed in some coffee into it. So I'm getting a very different, like a really nice subtle coffee flavor from this than I did from my coffee black IPA earlier.
That would have been a good comparison. But I got to say, this is without any of the coffee bitterness. You get the espresso flavor notes all the way through it. It's 100% coffee malt backbone. It's not as thin as a porter would be with a strong coffee malt flavored porter. You get a lighter mouthfeel, which is typical of a Schwarzbier. Sorry, I can't say that with a straight face. But no, it's a fucking solid beer. And at 5.2%, it punches well above its weight, in my opinion.
And it's got that solid like Pilsner base to it. Where it is dark and roasty, but it is still light and sessionable. It's something you could, I could happily sit on this.
It's not going to palate fatigue.
You can put away 3 or 4 of them, especially if you're up in the Jindabyne area.
Well, it feels like we're in Jindabyne now, frankly. I don't know if you've been outside recently, but
I was actually just outside during the break. Yeah, it wasn't exactly chill.
I've upgraded to my my wool lined.
I'm wearing 2 jumpers over my shirt.
This is a purchase
Have you ever
from Norway.
stroked a Wookiee?
So it's gonna keep you warm.
Yeah.
Mine has, survived the snows of Hoth and of you're cold.
What the fuck is Norway next to Hoth?
Yeah, exactly.
Out of 5?
So yeah.
Let's average our scores.
Don't average me. I'm not average. I'm above average. Mum always said I was special. No, I'm going to give that a solid. That's a 4.25. That is a really good Schwarzbier.
I was going to give it a 4, so let's stick with 4.25. I think they're good.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I would happily go back to that website and maybe look at what else they have.
At a later time, Tom. I did that before. I'm pretty sure we talked about a beer and I ended up buying all of the stock that was left while we were still talking about it. So I don't remember which that was.
Cherry. It was the
Thank
Reckless
you.
Cherry.
Yes. Yeah, it was. You're right. Yeah. And I don't regret that purchase decision for a heartbeat because fuck me, that was a good beer. Shall we get into some trailer trash? We got a lot of trailers, actually.
Play away, and most
But
of them are Star Wars.
none of them are Paramount Pictures, so we shouldn't get a fucking IP infringement bullshit out of it. So, no, I keep saying that it wasn't Paramount; it was someone else. Anyway, Universal.
Do you want to do this in order, or do you want to? I just wrote these down as they came to me today.
Do them in order.
All right. Well, let's start with Andor, which is one of the two actual trailers we got to see for not actually being at Star Wars Celebrations. So if you actually got to go there, apparently you saw a lot more. There was quite a few sizzle reels for stuff coming out that won't be released online just yet. But Andor, it's showing a really gritty side of the
Civil War. Sorry, the war.
Civil War. You know, it was a Civil War. Yeah,
Yeah.
The rebellion era
Civil
of
War
stuff.
Yeah.
It's the start of it. It's really like it's the start of it. A really good thing to note on this as well, that they've said they've gone back. They haven't used the Mando filming technique for this.
Okay.
What do they call
so
it?
There's no volume.
The volume.
Yeah, they.
I
said
want a
it was-
volume in
yeah,
my
they-
house. I reckon there's so much application for that. Sorry.
Yeah, they said that this is more traditional set building and all that kind of stuff, which might give it a bit more of that realistic
Rustic
feel,
real feel. Yeah.
kind of what they did when they went back for Force Awakens, how they built Jakku, and they went back to that kind of building it in a desert kind of thing.
I've got to take. I'd like to balance that point. I'm not going to take issue with the point. I'd like to balance that point. Yeah. They did build quite a lot of set dressing in practical inside the volume.
Oh, yeah. No, sorry, you are right. I probably said that wrong. Yeah.
So some of those buildings.
No, I agree with what you mean. Yeah.
But they did a lot of the stuff that they do. In saying that, I didn't know that, but there was a lot of the. There was one stage during the Andor trailer where you see a whole bunch of people running. They're obviously the start of the rebellion, running out to cover weapons on tables and things like that. That looks like a location. It didn't look like something that was done in volume. It's like you could almost see the external moisture on things. Like on the location.
And the behind the scenes.
I could be completely wrong. That could just be an amazing fucking set dresser. So.
The documentary that they released for Mando season 1 and then eventually 2 for the behind the scenes showed you they built an entire cantina that they set those early episode shots up in. So they were full sets. So they might have had the volume in the background just to show what you can see through the windows instead of CGIing them in.
Yeah, no. I understand that. Yeah.
Sorry, Tom. We kind of I completely railroaded you there.
No,
Carry on about
fine.
Andor. 12 episodes in a season I find really interesting because, Star Wars have been doing
they're already
short
talking
run.
about 2 seasons. They're already talking about 2. So they're planning for a 24-episode series. Some really cool shots we got to see. What looked like hybrid LAAT dropships, moving more into that Imperial kind of style. I always loved the LAT. I thought it was a great design for a
This is where they need to start bridging the gap between the two eras set in the
and I think we will see that. I think there was from memory there was a shot of like Phase 3 clone troopers in that moving more into that.
Yeah, you saw three clone troopers.
You did.
Over the shoulder of somebody with like 3 clone troopers in front of him.
Yeah. And then I thought the biggest thing that I thought was really like in terms of like, I guess, star factor in it was Stellan Skarsgård is in it as like what seems to be some sort of like kind of rebel rouser, like freedom fighter kind of thing. Might be replacing Whitaker. So we're not going to get Saw Gerrera. We'll get, a different side of that, but a different side of that coin in terms of your freedom fighter rising up. And he's got a history of playing those kind of like, you think he's on your side, but maybe he's not. Like, the flip at the point of,
the rogue,
drop of a hat kind of thing.
The rogue.
Yeah. And I'm really excited. I don't think I've really ever said this, but I'm really excited to see the Mon Mothma side of things. Like, the way that's going to work in the intrigue in the Senate and playing that dangerous game kind of feel.
I think...
And just how good that actress looks as a younger Mon Mothma.
Yes,
she is almost perfect. Like,
Guinevere O'Reilly. And look, I'm looking forward to seeing more of Cassian. I'm glad that Diego reprised his role for it. This is going to lead, I think it's straight into Rogue One, isn't it? It's set
5 years before Rogue One.
Yeah, okay. So it is the setup for the Rogue One movie. I think if they, and I'm fairly certain they will, because everything, if you've got a good idea about what a Star Wars series is going to be, it seems that that's exactly what it ends up being, because they're fucking smart when they write it. But the political intrigue of Mon Mothma, kind of watching the Senate changes unfold, balanced against kind of the guerrilla tactics at the start of the Rebel Alliance forming, or the rebellion against the Empire, I actually think will be a really good dichotomy. So you'll never get too deep into the political intrigue. You're not going to have, it's not going to get too heavy and hard to follow, because it'll be balanced against kind of the immediacy and the action effects of the guerrillas, kind of the guerrilla tactics starting to take shape. I think it's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good and like a really well done, but still superbly gritty Star Wars series. For all the love we have for Mando, it had the potential to go really gritty side of bounty hunting, especially in that post-Empire phase.
They walked a good line there.
Yeah, but they kept it light enough. There are some episodes which are, they're just underworld grime. But I think this is going to lean more heavily into that kind of underworld grime. So, yeah, excited for that.
Yep. I do hope they lead into that really dark side, and it goes back to what Pete was saying earlier. I do hope that this is the there's not going to be the cute little Grogu. There's not going to be the very iconic T-shaped visor of the Mandalorian that is now overtaking like the main focus of the Star Wars Empire, the Mando and Grogu. I think these are going to be, I hope these are going to be like human, dark, hard stories that
it certainly looks it from the trailers.
Yeah, and we're going to get some clones, good soldiers follow orders kind of shit. And as they then start bringing in recruits to be stormtroopers and things like that, and the handover there. So,
and we're going to get a really cool kind of view of the ISB, the Imperial Security Bureau, which we've featured in Rebels, and they kind of featured in Battlefront 2 a little bit, but it's like in the story of that, but it's the secret police of the Empire. Essentially
the Gestapo.
And like just that kind of aspect that already adds like a supreme grittiness to that universe that we especially for us as more adult watchers, we kind of want and need. We don't need to, like, as much as I love a lightsaber, I don't want to see a single lightsaber in this series.
No, there's so much more to Star Wars, and I think they've started to demonstrate that over the last few years with Mando, and even though, yes, we've gotten a Jedi in Mando, it's not the core fabric of this series. There's so much more to Star Wars.
We've got one Jedi.
Yeah. It's the same old Jedi.
Two.
One?
Well, a great Jedi.
Yeah. She's not, though. Even to her statement, she's no Jedi.
Anyway, Bad Batch Season 2.
Tom's going to blow a valve.
Yes. Bad Batch Season 2.
Fuck yeah.
Repaints, baby. Repaints.
Yeah, repaints. Armor repaints.
The
Commandos.
The trailer looks fantastic. And you've got to give it to them. The trailer is a live action trailer. The fact that it's not live action is almost, it just fades into the background.
Yeah, you got
I don't
Cody
know if that
and
made sense, but
Deadeye working together. Was it Deadeye?
Crosshair.
No. What's his name? Crosshair. Who was thinking Deadeye? Oh no, it's from the game I'm playing at the moment. Jesus. That's going to be cool. It's good to see some more Cody action, especially with all the Obi-Wan going on. That'd be fun. And then, yeah, it's incorporating. There's a couple of shots of the Wookiee Jedi, who we've seen before in a Clone Wars episode. So I think that's pretty interesting.
It's very interesting.
Get some Kashyyyk action. I like that they've not only have they repainted their armor, but they've given Omega a bit of a makeover, so she doesn't look unarmored or unready for kind of what they're going into. And then, just some cool shots. There's more lats. That's all I asked for. More lats. More LLATs. But yeah, some cool action sequences. We've got shown in a little sizzle reel, but it's... I'm really getting, and I don't know if this is the same for you, Dan, but I'm really getting more of those last Republic Commando books.
Yeah.
Where it's really becoming like, I wouldn't be surprised if Cal Skatara showed up in this.
Yeah.
Like, they're really kind of leaning into that expanded universe era, like those stories.
Just the more appearance, and I mean the appearances of the clone commandos at the end of Season 1, Scorch was in it, even though Filoni's gone, no, it's not Scorch. It's fucking Scorch. Like, he had
Scorch, pal.
Like, they were literally the same paint marks on his fucking armor. And then you saw a quick flick of him in the trailer, and I really, with the repaints, that's where it came to me as well. Like, it's like they're now starting to go, yes, they were in their clone armor for all of Season 1. And I was waiting for them to change in Season 1 to disidentify. I don't know if that's the right term.
Unidentify?
Distance themselves in their normal armor from the Empire and paint themselves up like Mandalorians. I was waiting for that to happen, and it didn't happen. So it's fucking awesome to see that they're starting to go that route in Season 2. Love it. I just I'll be with you. I'll be sitting on the edge of my seat every episode waiting for Carl to turn up.
I mean, it'd be fantastic if he did. It would blow my mind. Yeah. But it's definitely what they feel like they're doing is they're taking, well, even if it's just like a homage, like a little inspiration from those books, just to make them that they kind of went from being, we are clone commandos, to now we're clones, but we're not identifying with that anymore. Yeah. But
if they end up calling themselves Delta Squad, I'm there, man. Do it.
Yep.
They're no longer the Bad Batch because they're no longer part of that Republic army. They're now Delta Squad.
Yeah.
Or Omega Squad. Pick one. Or they're Omega because they're in black armor, so they're Omega Squad.
Oh, they're Omega because they've got Omega. There you go.
Maybe. Maybe. That's what they go with. Fuck. Yeah.
Well, you guys have totally lost me, having not seen the first season. So,
sorry, Pete.
No, not at all. That's fine. It's on me for not watching it. Shall we move on to Willow?
Yep.
I'm pumped.
I've not seen it, so I will. You guys talk, and I will load it in the background.
I'm pumped for this series. Willow was
just give me 1 second. There's a lot of banging going in the background. I'm just gonna
tell Emma to stop doing the dishes. I don't think that's a good idea, bro. I'm sorry. While I'm doing your housework, Tom, am I making too much noise?
It's really pretty. The trailer.
Yeah, and You said before you haven't seen the original movie.
So shit! It is Warwick Davis too.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's it's based on a 1988 classic, like a cult classic movie, and it was kind of it was in the golden age of adventure films. So almost a coming of age, but with adults instead of teens. Did you get, like, I would have kicked you in the nuts if I was your missus. Like, I'm sorry, I'm doing your housework for you and I'm being too loud. Is that what you're saying?
The only thing that gets me watching the trailer is it's all very clean.
Oh, there's a dog in here now.
Come here, Murph. Get out of here.
It is very clean, but I guess the original movie is very similar to that, though. Like, it's not a gritty themes, but the actual world, the land isn't, if that makes sense. There's some dark shit going on.
Like, I haven't seen Willow in years, and we were talking about this before, but from my memory of it, it was always, like, really sparse. Like...
Yes.
It's
like feudal England, basically.
Yeah. So, like, I guess that would add to the kind of cleanness of it.
So the original movie, Val Kilmer, a wandering knight, happens across Willow, who's almost like the village idiot / self-proclaimed sorcerer who couldn't really cast any magic when you meet him, and ends up going on to and where does Saoirse fit in? The Queen. I can't remember the original plot, to be honest.
Yeah, neither.
I'm going to watch it this weekend.
A young farmer has chosen to undertake a perilous journey in order to protect a special baby from an evil queen. So, presumably, Saoirse was the evil queen. I don't remember. No, she wasn't. So, the new TV series is set in the same universe, same continuity. Warwick Davis
20
reprises.
years later?
Sorry, 2020 or 25, something like that.
It's got to be more than that.
Princess assembles a party to join her on her quest to rescue her twin brother. So the princess is actually the daughter of Saoirse, who was in the original movie. So there's continuity in terms of the history and the storyline.
It's got to be 30 years at least.
Well, yeah.
No, they're saying that's set 20 years after the original movie.
Yeah. It was 34 years from the original movie.
Yeah.
It comes out this year. It was a 1988 film. So, yeah, the daughter of Saoirse, who was in the first movie, assembles a party of heroes to join her on her quest to rescue her twin brother, who would be the prince. So Warwick Davis reprises his role as the dwarven sorcerer. That's about all we know.
Like
there's not a lot. It's a teaser trailer. It's not even a true storyline trailer.
It's pretty
yet.
short, yeah.
But it kind of looks like he's been pulling a Luke Skywalker, and he's gone into isolation, and he's like just been living his little quiet life. He's not. You know.
Well, I mean, by the end of the movie, he was quite an accomplished sorcerer. So, yeah, I'm pumped. I'm looking forward to it. I wasn't sold on the idea as a concept. Like, really, do they have to fucking reboot everything? I thought was awesome because they miss more often than they hit these days with reboots.
It's sequel reboot.
Yeah, but it is a sequel, but it is also obviously designed to cash in on us 40-something-year-olds who grew up with it, but also introduce the IP to a whole new audience that have never seen the Willow movie. Because I don't know if you've tried to introduce a young person to old school 80s and 90s movies, but even watching the trailers for 90s movies makes me fucking cringe a lot of the time with the really bold voiceover and the big blue text. It's just hard to watch a lot of the stuff that we loved watching as like trailers these days. Anyway, I'm going to go watch Top Gun this weekend before Maverick comes out because I'm actually kind of looking forward to that as much as everyone gives me shit about it.
Maverick's already out.
It is out, and it's fucking smashing the box office. It's $334 million opening weekend. So
one of the boys at the brewery went to see it, and he was like, "Have you guys seen Maverick?" And I was like, "Nah, man. It's like one of those films I feel like I need to be like at the pub with mates and just go, you know, it'd be hilarious if we went in like now after like 8 beers and just went and watched
Maverick.
Top Gun Maverick." And he was like, "Oh, dude, it's the fucking best." It's like, and he's not like the kind of guy you'd expect to be like
the first movie was
more highbrow
definitely
films. Like it's just like, but it's just as soon as you see the fucking Tom Cruise in a fighter jet, you're just taken back. It's like almost something like base human
primal.
Instinct. It's like
primal.
primal.
But
yeah,
the first movie is very much a lad's lad kind of movie. I mean, it was before culture
the volleyball scene
evolved.
It's the volleyball scene.
Yeah, it was before culture evolved. So I'm interested to see how close to that line they walk, because if it's a true successor, it would almost be seen as toxic masculinity if you were to remake the original movie today. Because, I mean, it's very male-oriented, that film. So I'm interested to see how close they walk that line, so you kind of get those echoes that draw you in without it being toxic. So
well, apparently, according to this friend of mine, apparently it's very good, and it's definitely worth sitting there and watching. And you just walk out. It's just one of those movies like you can't help but feel a little bit pumped by it.
Yeah,
like,
you just kind of I know exactly.
I can do something today. Like I wasn't planning on doing anything, but you know what? I could do something right now. Like I've been putting this off for X amount of time. I'm going to go do it. Yeah.
And it's got I tell you what, the original movie has a fucking fantastic soundtrack if you're into like 80s power ballads.
That's what it was. Power ballads. Yeah.
Power ballads.
Yeah.
Power ballads. Oh, maybe not so much ballads. Just synth rock. You'll get it when you watch it.
80s synth. Yeah. It's the first thing everyone tries to learn on guitar when they're at high school. Yes. That and Smoke on the Water.
Yeah. Next one, Grey Man.
Grey Man. This looks like a little bit of fun.
Yeah.
So this is a new Netflix film from the Russo brothers, obviously of Avengers fame, and Captain America, Civil War, and
pretty much everything with Chris Evans in it. Hint, hint.
Oh, and surprisingly, Chris Evans is in it.
As a bad guy, I just want to hear Chris Evans after playing the shiny fucking super proud, all-American hero, just drop the fucking F-bomb, and if we're lucky, we might even get a C in it, just to kind of really break from that trope.
Yeah, no, it's so it's kind of talking about what I guess are secret agents or whatever, but there's one that goes right. It's a bit Jason Bourne-esque by the looks of it.
I don't think I disagree. Jason Bourne went rogue because he forgot who he was and bought his own identity. That's quite.
This was very loose, Jason Bourne. But it's the
he used
the
to be the all American,
the agent versus the agency kind of feel.
Well, yeah. So
I guess you'd maybe say Mission Impossible then.
Yes, I would think it would be closer to that. So a Black Ops agent becomes an assassin of other Black Ops agents is kind of what I got out of it.
Yeah, and
international hero.
And that's Ryan Gosling's character, and then Chris Evans is the company man who gets sent in to clean it up, but he's a bit of a. He's a dick.
I must have missed something because I only watched the trailer just before we started recording, and it seemed like Chris Evans was flat out the bad guy, and he was an assassin. He was the cleanup
dude for the company, I thought.
Yeah, I don't know if he still belongs
to
the company.
Ryan Gosling's the rogue from the company. Chris Evans is the cleaner.
Maybe
that's the vibe I got from it.
I tell you what,
the one Anna de Armas is in there as the kind of middle person. Yeah.
Tell you what, Ryan Gosling is a fucking beefcake in this movie. Like he has
it on, didn't he?
Bulked. Yeah. Like he's bigger than Chris Evans in this film, which is saying a lot.
I was going to say, he wasn't quite Henry Cavill big, but he was definitely at least
he's jacked.
Chris Hemsworth big. Yeah.
Yeah. So Dan, you giving me that really? Yeah, really. He's bigger than Chris Evans.
Ryan Gosling's not even that tall.
I wasn't talking in terms of like height or penis length or any other measure of big. I meant muscular.
What movie are you talking about?
It's called The Grey Man. It's the new.
It's Netflix in the show notes, Dan. In fact,
I didn't see it in there.
Yeah, it looks fun. It's definitely one that I will happily sit there with a couple of beers and watch and walk away and go, yeah, that was good. I'll probably rewatch the YouTube clip of that chase scene once or twice, but the twist will be. It'll be one of those movies where it's like, that twist was good, but I can't watch it again because now I know it's going to come and it's kind of ruined that for me. Yeah. But yeah, it looks fun.
The Russo brothers.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know where you disappeared to, Dan. You didn't even announce that you were going anywhere. But
I did. I said I need to pee.
I didn't hear it. I don't know if Tom heard it.
I just sensed it. I just knew.
It's just the telepathy into the
mind. Yeah.
3,000 years of longing. was another trailer.
It looks good from
Yeah,
That looks
George Miller.
funny. It looks very
A little bit of crazy.
George Miller,
zany
Idris
fun.
Elba, and fuck, I always forget the name.
Starts with T. No, does it?
Tilda Swinton.
Tilda Swinton.
Tilda,
Does start
yeah.
with T. There you go.
Yeah, she was the.
Oh yeah, he's a big dude.
Yeah. He's fucking full jacked, yeah. Tilda was the angel at the end of in Constantine,
in
not at the
Constantine,
end.
yeah.
That's I'll always
also
see her
the
as
Sorceress
that.
Supreme
She
in,
is, but I'll always
Doctor
see her
Strange.
as the angel in Constantine.
Yeah.
I just Idris
The
Elba.
White Queen in Narnia. Let's just stop going through her back history.
I've not watched any of the Narnia remakes. It'll never shape up to what I watched as a kid. I'll just the idea of casting Idris Elba as the genie in the lamp is just fucking brilliant. I'm surprised he played the role, and I'm so glad that he did, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, that looks good. Yes, that I like that. That was good. It's good casting, and yeah, I agree.
It's going to be. It looks like a nice wacky ride as well.
Yeah.
Like
And me and
Definitely they
Louise,
had
It's like a
fun.
Bruce Almighty style adventure.
yeah.
me and Louise had just gotten back from Doctor Strange when I saw that the next day, and in the car on the way home, she's like, I liked that, but when is this going to end? When are we going to start getting like really good original movies again? And then the next day there was that 3,000 Years of Longing on there, and I'm like, watch this. I think this might be a good original.
This might scratch that itch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
She
might
is right.
scratch that itch. Yeah,
She is
so-
right, though. If you look at like pop culture headlines, if you look at movie headlines, if you look at comic book headlines, they're all the same fucking news articles. It's all Star Wars and Disney. Sorry, it's all Disney cashing in on Marvel or Star Wars, or rebooting cartoon classics we grew up with as live action remakes like Pinocchio. That's all there is at the moment in the news headlines around movies or TV or video games.
Yeah.
So
No, I agree. I mean, but it's great for someone who's into those things. It's fantastic.
Yeah,
if you're not
no,
into those things,
like-
it sucks.
Yeah, but I do very much enjoy a really original,
a broader palette.
a really original something.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
clever
Yeah,
and
it's nothing quite like it.
with a
Don't look up. I mean, those kinds
Don't
of
look up,
movies.
yeah.
Yeah. Just we need a broader palette, and I love that Hollywood has embraced the nerd culture that we got the shit kicked out of us for or ostracized for as kids. But it can't be to the exclusion of everything else. You can't just have the Sundance film, movies, and Hollywood is now just nerddom. You need a better balance. Anyway.
Yeah. That goes. Swings and roundabouts on that, isn't it?
And then the final movie trailer, Thor: Love and Thunder.
I'm
actually a lot of trailers.
I'm a big Thor fan. I've been reading Thor comics for years, and I'm really excited to finally get Gore the God Butcher in there. I think Christian Bale looks great as that. Looks really comic accurate. But I'm also digging the really 80s Thor, like, that we're going to get. Like, we're getting the Thunderstrike. We're getting Thunderstrike Thor from the comics in the sleeveless vest with the big sparkly T on the back. We're getting his goats. We're getting the goats. The goats pulling the boat. And and then I think they're going to have a lot of fun with the Jane Foster Thor.
I think they will too.
Especially because in the comics, like they like gave her a whole bunch of like new powers and stuff that Thor couldn't do originally. That she had a much better control over Mjolnir. It actually came out during her comic run that Mjolnir had like a spirit that actually they communed with a lot better, which then eventually improved Thor. We're getting helmeted Thors back. Fuck yeah, we're getting wing helmets. That's a bit of fun.
He's like, if you look at the screenshot of, I'm looking at one of the screenshots on IMDb that's pretty easily accessible. His costume next to hers, she's inherited the muted palette that he's been using for the last few movies, and his new costume is almost like pop-out comic book. It's over the top.
That's
comic
the
book
90s.
costume.
That's the 90s Thor.
I get it,
It was the big blue and gold. Yeah,
I get it, but to put it in the costume on a live action movie is ballsy, and it's testament
Taika
to
Waititi, man. He's
Yeah,
gonna
I was
do
just
it.
going to say it's testament to him. That's exactly right. I'm really looking forward to this one.
Yeah, and apparently Russell Crowe has had the time of his life playing Zeus. Like, he has been loving it. Yeah. Also,
does not surprise
no
me.
points for guessing what was the most paused moment in that trailer. But it's definitely when Thor loses all his clothes. There was... I did see an article the other day. It's just
I
like,
find that... Anyway.
You find that what? Surprising?
Tantalizing.
No, tantalizing.
I find it
tingling?
tantalizing.
Ball.
Oh, my balls are tingling.
puckering.
The swimmers all moved in the same direction at the same time.
Yeah, I think it's great. I'm really glad they're bringing in, because I've always wanted to. I've always would love to have seen an unworthy Thor, and we kind of got that in Endgame, and like that was a really cool comic arc when Thor couldn't hold Mjolnir. That was really cool, and that brought about Jane Foster as Thor. So yeah, I'm excited they brought that in. I like that they're bringing. If we get, maybe we get a Hercules, MCU Hercules out of this, who's always been in the offside of the Avengers, and that's kind of cool. It's also good that they're expanding. Like, this might answer our Egypt question. Like, we're talking about Khonshu, whether or not he's a god or an alien.
Yeah.
Like, what's going to happen with the Greek gods? Are they going to be gods or aliens, or what's going to go on there? But yeah. No, I'm excited for it. And also, it's got Taika all over it, so it's just going to be a fun, rollicking romp anyway.
Balls out, just comedy. It's the same as the last one, the last Thor.
Yeah. Surprisingly touching in parts, and then just pretty hilarious in others.
Yeah, because it has an emotional connection, but it's still set in something that's designed to make you laugh. And it's still delivering a really kind of serious message of the genocide of those people, of the Asgardians. So... he balances really well. I've got to say, he's a great director. I think the last one we've got up on the run sheet for trailer trash is Jedi Survivor, but I think we've talked about it enough that I can probably just throw the trailer up while we were talking about it previously. It's kind of this time
I
portal
definitely think we've
podcasting.
touched on that enough. I guess the only thing I didn't talk about when we were talking about before, which I was the cloaked red saber wielding dark Jedi we see in that doesn't really fit with the rest of the Inquisitors. So that's, I guess, another lingering question.
He may actually be a Sith, and if so, who is it?
Well, if it's not a Sith, if it's just a dark Jedi, that was the other thing I meant to say. The other theory I saw for the who's in the back to tank, Quinlan Vos, but it didn't look dready enough, so I don't think it will be.
No, it definitely wasn't Quinlan Vos. No, because he's got the lines on his face and all sorts of things. No, 100% it wasn't. No.
Everyone was throwing out every person they could. So yeah, Quinlan Vos, and then was it Malachi from the first game? Was that his name? Whatever, the dude you fought on Dathomir.
Yeah,
I don't recall.
It was wearing the Kylo Ren waistband.
Yeah,
yeah,
he was dual wielding.
The older dude. Yeah.
That's the only other thing. Who's the cloaked, the robed, and that's the one who gets the lightsaber back. So that gives it to the Grand Inquisitor. But it didn't look like any of the 9 brothers or sisters. So interesting. Star Wars mysteries. I'm excited.
Will all be revealed soon.
Yeah.
Well,
and
actually, not soon.
I'm,
next year.
Yeah, it's a little while away, but it's
still we're halfway
it's
through 22, so it's only 6 months away, really.
But yeah, just seeing if they how much they keep it in line with original combat, or if they change it up, because that was a slightly polarizing.
Oh no, they've said that they are changing up combat. They're expanding.
Oh, okay, I didn't read that.
Well, and it's a wanky fucking media release, right? We're using advanced technology to dramatically improve the dynamism of combat in the game, which is going to be they're going to add 3 more buttons or sequences of buttons. Like, it could mean fucking anything. It's such a wanky thing to say.
Oh, yeah, I think I'm just talking more basic terms. Is it going to go into a hack and slash God of War style?
I know what you're... Yeah, I get it. But
that Souls-esque.
But for them to have said that in the media release, if they don't turn it more Ghost of Tsushima, timing-based, combos, complex, then they've failed to deliver on their bullshit media message, frankly. If they turn it into a hack and slash, then what connection would that ever have to advanced technology for improving the dynamism of combat?
Actually, the funniest thing about, I don't know if you guys have this
Malarkey.
problem. I keep seeing people who've gone back and played it recently because I think it's on the EA subscription thing, EA Play. You get it as like one of the free games you get. So a bunch of guys on like the trophy hunting group, someone have like gone to platinum it. They're all fucking whining about Fallen Order.
Oh, right. Okay.
So they gone back and played it, and because they missed it the first time it came out. But they're all complaining about the map in that. Did you find the map? Like, because it's the holographic map. It's meant to be like a Star Wars hologram. Yeah. But they're all like, oh, it's the shittest map I've ever used. You could never see, like, you couldn't. And I was I don't remember having that much.
It was functional as a map, and it may not have like pre-chewed the meat before spoon feeding it to you like a lot of games do these days.
Yeah,
but
I think
was
that's what
functional
they're
as a map.
About. Yeah.
Like,
No,
shit, I've got to press up if I want to change the levels. Like, fucking listen, bitch.
Levels?
Let me tell you about fucking maps, right? Maps were Dungeon Master in the early 80s where you sat there with grid paper and you literally drew the map as you went forward. I hit a wall. Draw 3 boxes on my grid paper, and then a line for the wall. That was how maps started. Anyway, fuck your fog of war.
I mean, maps started a long time before that. That's another
Video
topic.
game maps, Tom. I've still got some of my original, I think Dungeon Master 2.
Cartographing from the old days when I was circling the globe looking for new adventures and
Okay,
lands.
Magellan,
Conquer.
let's just chill for a
Let me
second.
get out my sextant. And then go
No,
and find
Pete,
the
do not
boys
get out your
on the
sextant.
deck.
Funny.
I really, that's one place I wouldn't have gone for a change. I'm impressed.
I'm impressed.
So shall we talk about the major spotlight for this episode? We're only 2.5 hours into a 3-hour episode, but we'll kick it off, and we're going to start with Tom because I really need the bathroom.
Okay.
And then we need to come back to my third beer because I'm going to be finished it before this is over. But yes.
Third or
My
fourth?
Beer.
Your fourth beer.
Sorry.
Okay. So Tom can start talking. When I come back, we'll talk about fourth beers, cut Tom off completely,
Well,
and then forget to come back to him.
I'll introduce the topic while Pete goes pee-pee. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
I make pee-pee.
Bye-bye. Go away. I think I could do that in real life. Go away. So we are going to look at the spotlight we have chosen for this particular episode is the emotional connections to games and how that has, I guess, changed over the years. We're going for more positive, I guess, ones in this one. We were tossing up whether or not we brought in when you had an emotional connection to a game and then it maybe soured, but we figured that we could actually get a whole nother topic out of that. And it's, for me, it kind of goes over the years and how I guess my gaming has changed as well. That's definitely changed when, thinking back to when I was a teenager and I had my 64 and I didn't have the money to go out and buy the games that I wanted. Or have the things like, PS Plus back then where you got free games for paying that subscription, like then I could go and play. So I was set with a finite amount of games and I had to find replayability out of them. And now going back and playing some of those games, just you not only get into that kind of nostalgic kind of like mindset, but you also almost fall into a muscle memory. Like I talked about a couple of times I Mario 64 was a foundational game for me and always will be. But recently replaying it on the Switch when I was, at the start of this year, and just I haven't touched that game in, it's got to be 16, 17 years or something since I last turned on my actual 64. But then getting the ported version on the Switch and being able to smash through more than half the game, getting 80 of the 120 stars in a 14-hour flight, like it was the weirdest thing being like, oh yeah, I remember exactly how to do this puzzle. I haven't seen this thing in over a decade, but I instinctively remember how to do this one particular puzzle. Or just running around the level and being like, oh yeah, you have to do that and that and that to do this, to do that, and then you can get this star. And it's just like, how how is my brain hardwired to remember that kind of shit? But it's all that like that nostalgic, like it just comes back. The music hits you, like remembering how frustrating some of the camera angles were, and trying to work with that. So yeah, we're gonna not necessarily take a trip down memory lane, but just talk about how some of those emotional connections have been foundational into the games. I guess now we look for to play, or I guess for me in recent games I've played, maybe take a bit of a punt on something I probably necessarily wouldn't have picked up had I not been, I just like talking about Control. Like I don't think I would have really gotten. I heard how good it was, but the themes didn't really sit with me. But then once I actually played it, I was like, this is amazing. But it was also bringing back memories of other games, and you can see where they get their inspirations from and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I don't want to go too far into it before Pete comes and we talk about beers. But how long has he gone for? What is this P? Is it the magical mystery P?
He's got to check his Tinder while he's out there and do some swiping, see who's online for later on. And I think he's past those days. I'm just giving him shit now, just as an air filler. But yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, there's been a few things that have happened in recent times, probably the last week, that a little bit like I mentioned this topic to you guys weeks ago, and there's been a couple of things that have happened, obviously, in the last week or so. One with the unfortunate passing of Ron, that's made me think about certain memory and sense memory of those the games that I've played in my life. The second thing was I lived in New Zealand from 1989, end of 88, start of 89 to 1992. And my best friend over there contacted me last week. You were saying, we discovered that we had both been looking for each other for a long time through social media, and his name is Wilfred Lee, and my name is Daniel Shaw, and we both came to the realization that there is a lot of Wilfred Lees in the world, and there is a lot of Daniel Shaws in the world. So, thankfully, that he was able to find me through another one of our friends that was in New Zealand that we connected through Facebook a little while ago. Facebook
is the old school version of Instagram for those new kids listening to the show.
Yeah, those things. And we have not spoken in near on 30 years. And we spent about 2 hours just text messaging backwards and forwards about a whole bunch of stuff. He was telling his son that, because they had come to New Zealand from Hong Kong back in the late 80s, early 90s. And he was telling his son how I introduced him to Indiana Jones and Ghostbusters. And you're
a good friend, Dan. You always have been. Clearly.
And I have mentioned to you guys before that these were the guys that introduced me to Super Mario Brothers and Nintendo and a whole bunch of other cultural, Chinese cultural things, that Chinese pop culture stuff that I didn't even know existed. And we shared that cultural exchange, and those are the things that have stayed with us for the last 30 years that we haven't spoken. And that was exactly the gap that we fell straight back into in our conversation last week. It was really amazing to just chat about these things that were like, well, yeah, this is you talked to me about this, and this is where I am now. And you showed, like, you were the one that had the SNES, and that was the first time that I played Super Mario and Super Mario Brothers 3. And I think 3 was the one that really stuck in my head because it was A and B player. So you could play lives as A, you die as A, controller goes over to B, you play through as B. And I think that was my first interaction with a co-op, and I say that very loosely, couch co-op game. And it was just, and I was telling Wilfred this, and it was just, it was really weird.
I think that's lost in culture these days. And I had a younger person come over a few weeks ago and wanted to play some video games just to kill some time while we're waiting for another, like the rest of the group to get ready. And
I told you he was off to check his Tinder.
Tinder. Wow. Tinder, yeah. I've got so many funny stories about Tinder, but none of them are actually me in them.
No.
I had a mate complaining that the only people he found on Tinder were gold diggers, and I said, "Show me your profile for a second." The main picture of him was him sprawled across his fucking $180,000 Merc. It was like, I wonder why, dude. Like, seriously, you fucking muppet. Co-op originally, before there was such a thing as a true co-op, was play until you die and then hand the controller to the person next to you. Yeah. And I think I mentioned to you guys last episode, I bought the Sega Classic Pack with 50 original games. Yeah. And I tried playing that style of co-op with this person, and they couldn't get into it. It's just, this isn't co-op. I want to play something where we're both on the screen together. And I'm like, okay, Street Fighter 2, that's in the series. No, I don't want to fight. No, this is how co-op started, and I think it's been kind of lost over the years. It was
they're just thinking about co-op as, you know, it's like Sonic when you got to play as Sonic and Tails, or Donkey Kong 3 where you got to play as Donkey and Diddy Kong. Like, it's that is the co-op they're thinking of. Yeah,
I get it. I know exactly what they were referring to. It's just like, but this is where it started. Like, reminisce. I know it's 20 years anyway. 20-year gap, but you get that on the big jobs. Move on. Are we going to talk about the fourth beers, or do you want to keep talking? Sorry, Dan.
I'm just going to dip
No.
into this.
We were just filling time until you came back, so we're ready to go.
Well, have you talked about all of your nostalgia, Tom? What did you talk
No,
about?
we didn't even start.
We did a very elongated intro.
Okay.
Very elongated.
I'm going to talk about this and go and pee quickly again because I have a bladder about this big.
We have been calling him Thumbelina for years.
Yep.
It's
better than what my father calls me, which is not repeatable.
Definitely telling us that offline.
tiny little bladder. This beer I mentioned earlier that I had very high expectations
super excited
for.
about.
And
tell me you met them, please. Or that the beer met your expectations. I want you to have a good beer experience tonight, Dan.
Yeah, let me tell you my story, and then I will tell you whether it meets my expectations. Very high expectations for this beer, so I bought 2 of them with the anticipation that it was going to be very good. With the counting how many were actually on the shelf at Q Sellers, with the intention of going back and buying more if they met my expectations. And I am happy to say it very much met my expectations. And the big reveal, it is Moondog's Timothy and Tamathy Slam.
Yeah,
it is a caramel.
Slam.
It's a caramel and chocolate biscuit malt stout. It's fucking excellent. It's exactly what I wanted. It's
awesome.
Yeah,
I haven't tried it.
It's got that beautiful, and this is an oxymoron, I know, liquid biscuit character that you get from some... Oh, he's beautiful.
He's gorgeous.
Oh, this is Murphy for everyone watching the video. Stop biting me, you fuckwit.
He's excited to see Daddy.
It's not his dog.
Uncle. Sorry. I thought you said Merv, and I'm
Oh,
like...
Tom.
Murph's a face biter, so we have to hold him.
We can tell.
Oh, you're famous, Murphy.
I was chewing your nose. Jesus Christ.
Wow. This episode devolved
Can you go
quickly.
away now? Can you fuck off, skis? Bye-bye.
He's jealous. We've got Podcast Cat. She hasn't been premiered in an episode in a long time, so we're going to get some pet action.
Go away, you cretin.
Or keep quiet, one or the other.
Yeah, one of the two. Oh, he's biting me. Fuck up.
Dan?
It's fantastic. It's got that chocolatey, biscuity malt character. It's got the caramel in there. It's beautifully balanced. It's got some malt sweetness to it without being too sweet. And they're big, bold, rounded, blended flavors.
Yeah, right.
It's
so balanced.
Spectacular. Yeah, it's spectacular. It's fantastic. It's exactly what it says it is. Beautiful. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Out of 5?
What do you think?
I've already written 5 down. Wild stab in the dark. Tom, do you want to go next or you want me to go next?
You go next. I'm dealing with the savage.
Dealing with the savage, yeah. Oh, that's right. Dan was going to go
Dan
pee.
need to go pee.
Yeah.
I'm listening, though. I am listening while I'm getting
I've-
my arm bitten. Look at him go. Fucking Murph, hey.
Wow, this is a big beer to finish the night for me. This is Dainton Brewing Cherrywood.
Ooh,
which is
very
a
good choice.
Which is a
Yeah,
barrel-aged
that's a beautiful
smoked
beer.
rye Baltic porter. I'm actually a bit disappointed Dan's not here for this because I had questions.
Oh, I might be able to answer
Sorry,
questions.
that was kind of a packed-in insult there. I didn't intend for that to be.
No. I mean, I would go to the brewer first as well. So
A rye Baltic porter as opposed to just a Baltic porter? I don't know
yeah,
what...
so rye malt instead. So a bit of spice.
Yeah, I don't know if I get the spice. I tell you what, it is gorgeously complex.
Baltic porters are a fascinating beer style in that a porter is usually an ale, but
Yeah.
a Baltic porter uses lager yeast, which I think is really cool. All right, Murphy, fuck off.
How do you make a champion beer better? Put it in a whiskey barrel for 18 months. Complex, smooth, and delicious. And I have to say, and so it's 12%. So this is definitely going to end my night.
Go on.
Cherrywood is definitely the right word for it because...
Sorry, I banished the demon.
You're right.
He's not happy.
For a Baltic porter, it is really complex. Now, I said before my favorite sour, my 5 out of 5 sour would be like a barrel-aged dark cherry sour. This is that beer in a dark. So you get a lot of smokiness, you get a lot of complexity from the barrel aging. It's very much malt driven. There's basically no hop character in it whatsoever. It's layered. I get smoke. I don't know if I'm being driven by the fact that it's called Cherrywood, but you do get those kind of complex cherry notes out of it, like those really dark fruit flavors.
Yeah. Well, I imagine by the sounds of it, they've used the rye malt, and then they also used another base malt which they've smoked with the cherry wood.
Yeah, I suspect you're precisely correct. It is a fucking spectacular beer. So Dan, pick one of those up if you can. Mm-hmm. So barrel aged smoked rye Baltic porter. 12%. You're not going to have more than one, but it is fantastic. So
Well, Dainton had my beer of Gabs, which I think I told you guys. They had their red IPA they've done before. They did the Return of the Red Eye. Mm-hmm. It was a barrel aged version, and it was fucking licious. It was really, really fucking good.
Dainton, I found on this podcast especially has been a bit hit and miss for me. I haven't rated some of their beers very highly at all because they've advertised to be like a mango sour where there was no mango and it wasn't all that sour. And I think I gave it a really low rating. And then you get a beer like this and it's just a fucking knock it out of the park beer. So anyway, Tom?
I am drinking...
Kill the distractions. Not literally, just figuratively.
There's literally a dog. He's gonna
Is there
get
not
me.
a door?
There is a door, and he's trying to push his way through it. Like most of my fans, they're always kindly pushing through the door. I'm, that desirable. God, that's stupid
Kill me
thing
now.
to say.
Yeah.
Only if you kill me first. So I had 2 beers I was saving for the Obi-Wan premiere, the first 2 episodes. Funnily enough, both red IPAs. One I had, which I sent the photo to you guys, was the Dainton. They did the Big Chewy Red IPA, which is called, which was delicious, but it was 10%. This is the other one I was saving for it, purely from the name, and it's not meant to be a Star Wars reference, but you'll understand why I thought it was appropriate. It's called The Floor is Lava, which I thought was good for Obi-Wan versus Anakin.
Haven't we reviewed that before?
No, this is a brand new release. Maybe we have another beer called The Floor is Lava, but this is a new one from Bracket. Bracket Brewing down in Alexandria. So he actually the theme behind this is Mike, who's the head brewer, is he's either about to have his first kid or he's just had his first kid. So he did a bunch of like kid themed releases, and obviously Flora's Lava used to be one of his favorite childhood games. So they used Simcoe and Mosaic in this. It pours a lovely deep dark red. That is, so it's not super chewy in terms of like the chewing on the malt kind of bill. It's got plenty of those hops coming through, so it's but it's beautifully balanced. It's comes in at 6.5, and yeah, Bracket they keep making beer after beer that's really good, and not just those super hazy IPAs they tend to make, but they've got a black IPA they've just recently released, which is delicious. They just did a Bock, which I'm really keen to get my hands on. Yeah, like Mike's just showing his strength to strength as a brewer. And their can design's really cool. Like I don't know if it really shows up on the camera, but it's it's kind of
clean,
really nice shiny red. Yeah, it's very clean. And it's just you can notice a Bracket beer now just because they always kind of they always kind of like have that kind of same design style. But this is really good. Yeah, really good. The hops are shining through that caramel malt, and it's really, really balanced and nice. So if you can get your hands on it,
Simcoe and Mosaic. I don't think Dan will be a massive fan.
Huh? The two of my favorite hops. One of them is my favorite hop.
Mosaic.
Simcoe.
You took it. You had a real 50-50 split there, and you went for it.
What was the? You hate a hop. What is it? It's not Voyager.
Sabro and Sabro and
I confused Sabro with Simcoe. Sorry, my bad. We have also. I was right. We have tried. I was wrong about that. I was right about. We have tried a beer called the Flora's Lava. It was Range Brewing's Red IPA.
Oh, there you go.
Did you guys? You probably haven't, but the Corridor Crew guys from America, one of them did a, I think it was a little while ago now, but they did a Flora's Lava CGI thing with their roommates. So they walked in and the roommates called the Flora's Lava. So they all jump up on the furniture, and then later on they've gone in and added all the CGI of the floor filling up with lava.
That's cool.
Fun.
That's fun.
If I can find the link,
I'll
I'll send it to the chat. But
that'd be good.
It was good fun.
I just said Corridor Brewing. It's Corridor Digital. I should stop with the 12%.
Corridor Crew. Anyway.
Yeah.
Continue.
Well, let's get sunk in to this.
Sunk in
the emotions.
And we approached. So when we talked about the topic, obviously looking at the show at the run sheet, we've kind of approached the challenge differently. So Tom, why don't you kick us off?
Well, yeah, I was talking about before, like the nostalgia and the kind of muscle memory when you were away, Pete. And I referenced playing Mario again on the Switch on the plane when I smashed through 3/4 of the game without it blinking an eyelid, kind of thing. And that's one thing I get, especially with me being me, I tend to play games that are based around things that I love. So even going through a brand new release of something Star Wars related in Skywalker Saga, like there were so many moments when I just wanted to sit there and just enjoy a bit of John Williams' score, running around a planet that, I've always, would love to explore kind of thing. And it's this mix of kind of scratching that exploration itch, like just through someone like a developer's eyes, while still having that whole sensory experience. And like, that's the thing. I mean, if I could travel to the Star Wars universe and I went there and I, didn't have earphones and wasn't playing John Williams music, and I was walking around these planets and it was like devoid of that music in the background, it'd feel more weird and more alien than I think I would. If you get what I mean? Like,
I understand what you're saying, but I disagree. I think the role of music in video games and movies, and we have talked a little bit about this, is to fill the gaps in the sensory experience that brings you closer to if you were actually experiencing the majesty or the awe or the fear of a real life encounter. And so John Williams especially brings epicness to the score to match the visuals. You wouldn't need that if you're actually on another planet experiencing those visuals, because you'd be feeling those sensations naturally.
Yeah, but I think even in my head, I'd be humming the themes. Like,
Maybe.
that's how ingrained they are. But no, I'd just be standing. Like, that's the thing. Like, you like in the Skywalker Saga, there's moments when you're just on Tatooine, and if you load into the.
I'm not disagreeing that the score enhances the emotive connection to what you're experiencing in the game. What I'm saying is, I think that score is designed to bridge the gap between trying to recreate an experience on a screen in a video game versus actually living the experience.
Well, I mean, that's where we're different, because I went to New Zealand and climbed Mount Doom, and I listened to Lord of the Rings soundtrack the whole time. It was great. Like, I've never been happier.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I mean, that's just me.
Maybe
But
we're just different.
We are definitely different. And that's a great thing.
We both thank God every day, I agree.
Yeah. But no, it's a lot of that is taking me back. It's just, it's that nostalgia trip is not taking me back to being like, yeah, I'm young again. Like, I'm youthful, I'm vibrant, I'm whatever. It's taking me back to a time when I didn't have to really care about what else was going on. Like, it's especially in, this day and age where everything's kind of going to shit. It's like, it's really nice to take a nostalgia trip, and like, I can understand why they're rebooting things like Willow and bringing back all this kind of pre-rebellion, like Star Wars kind of stuff, or just post Empire kind of Star Wars stuff. Because it's the perfect escape right now. Because you think about it, everyone who was watching that, who's like our age, was like,
wants to remember a better time because it's pretty shit now.
Yeah, like, and that's why Stranger Things does so well. Like, you just go down the arcade and play some games, whatever. Fuck that. Like, you've lost 6 hours, but it was the perfect weekend. Like, yeah. So I mean, that's the thing for me. Like, I go to these ports of old games, and I've played a bunch of them recently, especially Aspire Studios, who are remaking all the old Star Wars games or porting them for modern consoles. They really just take me back to that time when literally the main thing I had to worry about was how I was going to get through the next level of that game. Like, that was my biggest concern. Like, and it was a beautiful time.
And you were quite happy to put 2 shifts worth of dollar coins into a coin op, and there was $100.
100%. Like, that's
back when minimum wage was less than $10 an hour.
Yeah. Like, and I obviously wasn't working, so it was just, Dad, money, please, money, please. I'd like to go play the game.
Fair enough.
But yeah, no, it was just like, one of my favorite memories of my granddad is him coming over to do some painting on our house when we had renovations, because he was a painter and like, he did all that kind of stuff. And he just goes, "You're going to sit there and play the idiot box all day?" And I was like, "Yes, Granddad, I am. And I'm going to really thoroughly enjoy it."
That's the plan.
Exactly what I'm going to. Yeah. And now it's like, I fight tooth and nail to have a day where I just get to play the idiot box all day, and I'm happier for it. Like, so yeah, I mean, that's one of my deep emotional connections to, especially older games and replaying old games and going back and playing them. Like, because I'm always looking for a new game, an exciting game to play. But sometimes just going back to those ones you grew up on, it's just kind of like a therapeutic peacefulness you get. Like, it just kind of washes over you.
100%.
Yeah. And a lot of it is
your second point in the run sheet talks to that perfectly.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and it's some of those super unique soundtracks. Like, my most listened to genre on Spotify is video game music. Like, by far, that's what I'm constantly listening to. I've got 8 CDs that still fit into the CD player in my 2010 Fiesta, and they're all video game soundtracks. Like, they're the ones I got with the special editions. And I was like, chuck it in the car, we'll put it on the rotation. Most recent one being, I think the most recent one is Witcher 3. But I got the CD for that, and that plays constantly. But it's just like, yeah, that music, because it just evokes something of, for me, that's my biggest emotional connection to games comes through the music creating that atmosphere and how much I submerge into that. But yeah, I think it's time for someone else to go into their emotional connection, because I'm going to talk that to dead. Like, yeah.
I want to jump in and lean on Tom's second point there, because I think it's probably the biggest one that I've spoken about, especially with the Ghost of Tsushima that I've mentioned many of times to you guys as well. I think on here too, that it just, for a violent game, it is insanely calm to just wander through that beautiful Japanese landscape and just leave
such
a
an
wake
elegantly
of dead
made
bodies
game.
in your background. Yeah, it is, and I think that's what it comes to. It's the elegance of it. It's that Japanese tradition. It's the underlying honor aspect of the samurai. It's just the way they voice act it, and they voice act it in English. I can't speak for the Japanese version of it because I don't speak Japanese, but it's low tones, it's calm, and even when it's a pushed
tense
scene,
moment.
the Mongols will be the ones that are the harsh, the fast, the hard, the aggression.
It's almost guttural.
Yes, it definitely is. And then the Japanese, the samurai side of it is always going to be, even though he starts leaning into the ghost side and storylines, he
Which
still
is
stays
driving me nuts right now, by the way.
He still stays that he still stays as Jin Sakai. Like he speaks as Jin Sakai. In the main confrontations, there is power and passion and everything and drive behind the way he says things, but it's still in that beautiful Zen Japanese kind of way that they present it.
Zen is perfect as a descriptor for that game.
Yeah.
Even just the game mechanics, not so much the music or the score behind it, but the sound behind it. While you're just wandering the countryside, it's all wind and atmospheric effects.
Perfectly
and
calming
Guiding
soundscape,
winds,
yeah.
It's I agree. That is Zen.
the hot water springs to increase your health. Like you just you go, oh, you know what? I feel better. I feel better when this digital character gets into this hot water spring. Like it calms me.
Because you picture it. You picture just how calming that would be. Like, I know what it's like to get into a nice warm bath
And he
when I'm fucking
reflects.
sore as shit.
It reflects. It is that
But even the
reflection,
game, the game mechanics
Choose
kind
a
of reinforce it.
reflection.
Yeah. And so you choose a reflection between two basic points, and then he voices his thoughts on that kind of topic, and they're calming thoughts. And then you go and do a haiku with the music in the background, and he's reflecting on a concept to write a haiku poem. And there's so much that reinforces the stoicism that is Japanese culture and the quietly reserved, honorable, they're masters of their emotion. And I think, sorry.
Yep. Go.
I think that was the concept of the culture back then.
Oh, definitely. And the fact that the way you move through the world and nothing is in your face. You get the little canary birds to follow to go to a side mission if you want to go to the side mission. If you don't want to go to the side mission, you don't. And there's other things that lead you towards the foxes lead you to the Shinto shrines or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that's what they are. And
Indari.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, and you don't have to do these things, and nothing is in your face. If you see the fox, you follow the fox. If you hear the bird and you find the bird, follow the bird. If you don't, there's a marker on your map now. You can go there whenever you feel like you can go there, and there's no force of anything. Nothing is in your face. There's not a million markers. The HUD is minimal, and you just cruise through this beautiful world. On the flip side of that, you have the harsh desert wasteland of Mad Max, and the Mad Max sandbox world gives me the same feeling. I will go and I will jump in that V8 Interceptor and I will just cruise that world of blood and smoke. And it gives me that same feeling. It's the difference between that there is, once again, nothing's in your face. It's a minimal HUD. The map is incredibly cluttered, but the HUD itself is fairly minimal. And the wasteland is a wasteland. Like, the environments are incredibly diverse. even when it is a wasteland. And it's a world full of violence, as well as the world of Ghost of Tsushima. Like, you're going in there and you are beating people to death. Like, you are shivving them. You are pulling out the sawn-off shotgun, and it's like you drive your interceptor, not interceptor, but you drive your car, and you're harpooning people and whipping them out of their vehicles, and you're
horrendously violent.
Horrendously violent, and it's the wasteland. But you get out there and you can drive to the edge of the map, and technically there's an edge of the game world, and the big white is what they call it. So it's the big white out there on the edge of the game world, and you can drive out into the big white, and then you end up getting destroyed or coming back. I forget. It's been a long time since I've done it, but
I'm pretty sure it was the radiation destroyed you.
Is that what it is? Yeah.
Yeah.
And that wasteland world it's sparsely populated, but it's populated enough to make it fun. And
I found Fallout 3 was kind of similar to that.
Well, I was about to say on the flip side of that, on the flip side of Dan's sparsely populated world, for me, and I put that in the notes, is swinging around New York in Spider-Man, like the PS5 version, especially when it's the PS5 version, when it's super populated. That is my like therapeutic, like just going into a game world and just because you have to also use the physics to swing properly. Like that just works for, the brain. But then it's just like, you can see like a crime in progress happening and it's the same thing. It's like it flashes up, but if you just want to swing from one side of Manhattan to the other, and like I guess it's that thing of like for me in that it is. I know I'm just in the island of Manhattan, which I know is a real place and I've been to and I've walked from end to end. And so I know how big it is. But to be able to just swing and zip and fly out like through it as, one of the most famous New York kind of based characters, like that is therapeutic. And again, it's just like the way that you move in that game. It's just like, especially when you get those little like animations of running around the side of the building and you'll run up the side and then go for the corner and he'll just quickly web so it pulls you around. Like it's all that kind of scientific, like physical, like notions of actually you have to traverse this properly. But like it's that kind of polar opposite of like it's densely populated. There are people everywhere. There are cars going, traffic jams, people with guns doing whatever. Yeah. But it's just like you can, if you want, you can just swing through.
But thematically,
a fun time.
Spider-Man's kind of sits above, like not like he doesn't put himself above, but he does sit above all of that din of noise.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
as a character.
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
So it kind of represents that as well. He tunes in on the things that he needs to tune in on, but he kind of rises above it. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Dan, just back to what I said. Fallout 3 is far more densely populated with things to do, but walking across the arid like wasteland of California, I found quite calming. I mean,
I found that in Fallout 4, but opposite side of the country. But it was like it was populated enough without like it still felt like a wasteland. But yeah, it was super calming. Yeah.
And I love exploration. I mean, my points were all about exploration games almost. The Horizon games, I just found the scale and scope just really calming. I found the themes for that game, that pair of games, which will end up being a trilogy, about ecological change in our modern world where we are witnessing firsthand, climate change, and just kind of playing that forward. It gave me a good imaginative spark as to where we're headed. You can connect with, if we keep going the way we're going, this is what's maybe it's definitely not going to unfold the way the game does, but you can certainly see the echoes of modern day in that game projected 1,000 years into the future. And it does give you pause to think about the choices you're making every day. I felt small, I think is what I wrote in the show notes, in that game. But in a calming, kind of interested way. felt small in the sense that the time scale in that game is set so far in the future, but it also is constantly talking about modern day or near future, that it makes you realize that even if you manage to live to 100 years, you're just a fucking drop in the bucket of the history of the planet. I mean, before you get to the Horizon world, Gaia has restarted 3 more fucking times and destroyed everything on the planet 3 more times before the game starts. And so we really are, as a species and a population, just a blink of an eye. And we're somehow managing to completely fuck the planet forever.
But I agree what you mean in terms of that calmness of a good open world sandbox environment, though. Like when you're, depending on what's giving it, like doing it for you. Like I said, swinging around New York in Spider-Man, but then, sailing on the open sea in AC4 and the sea shanties are going like and it was always the best moment was when you were sailing towards the sunset and that golden sun hit the waves just as you're just kind of cruising through and, they're singing the song of the sea, Bird's Eye Fish Fingers. That wasn't one of the sea shanties. I don't know why that was the one that came into my head of all the sea shanties in Assassin's Creed 4. But then, like, so like people talk about it. You often hear people like, oh yeah, I put on white noise to go to sleep, or I put on like a meditative thing. Like, so Emma like falls asleep to a etymology podcast, which is pretty soothing. Like, it's 2 British people talking about the history of words. It's pretty soothing. I thought you said entomology, and I was waiting for like they're sitting there talking about grasshoppers. But carry on. No, if it would be entomology.
Yeah, that's. I thought you said entomology. You said etymology.
No, it's just trees talking. It takes a long time to say anything in Old Entish. No, don't go down that rabbit hole, Tom. But like the Skyrim soundtrack, I have the night themes as a saved playlist that someone did like an hour loop on YouTube, and I've saved that to my phone. That's if I need to fall asleep and I'm having trouble, I put that on. I'm out like a absolute conker, like just gone.
Speaking of soundtracks, sorry to cut you off, Tom. Just quickly on what we were talking about before with Ghost of Tsushima. That soundtrack is fucking superb because you get the juxtaposition of the calm, soothing Japanese music, and it clashes
wood flutes,
and the beat, the slow heartbeat rhythm drum, and that's juxtaposed against the Mongolian throat singing and that real fast tempered pace music when you start fighting. I found that was really interesting because it does reinforce what's going on in the game.
Difference for me was actually through the use of woodwinds versus strings, because the strings invoke that really high, like pitched, and that's actually going into my next point. We talk about the calmness. What about the fucking stress-inducing games? Like the games where they're so fast-paced and you have to think about so many things so quickly to do that. Doom 2016. Granted, the soundtrack is, what do we call it, Dan? Like
synth metal.
It's like, like synth electric metal kind of. What did you?
Yeah,
you gave
doof
the perfect
to it.
coin term.
Oh, did I? I don't remember.
Yeah, you did once.
It was an off-the-cuff one.
Dan's visibly getting closer to bedtime. So
yeah.
Well, we're getting towards the end. But if you think about that, it's like the music is meant to increase your heart rate to the point where you increase your heart rate, so you're thinking clearer because you need to move that quickly in the game. But then you think about a game like Last of Us where you're moving as slow as you fucking can, because you make too much noise, that dude's going to come around and instant kill you.
Yeah.
But you need to get into the perfect spot to stealth kill him. And, you put down the controller and there's just sweat pouring from your hands. It's like the tension in that leaves you with when you fuck it up, it's like immense frustration. And it's just like, oh, I was so close. But then when you do it, there is a rush, like a visceral rush that like goes for me from the front of my head and just pours through, going like relief, like, holy shit, I just did that. That was intense. But it's left a mark on me that I will not forget. Like, it's like that's the that's an emotional connection I have. Yeah.
Here's an interesting question that I don't think we'll be able to properly explore this episode, and I to be honest, I don't think we'll ever explore properly on a podcast. But to me, thematically, there's three kinds of games that all three of us are drawn to. There's the games that evoke nostalgia, whether or not they're remakes, reboots, sequels, or even just are thematically similar to something that we played as kids. And it's easy to see why everyone is drawn to nostalgia. It's place of origin. It's a nice, safe, comfort place. Brings back good memories. You tend to remember good memories far better than poor memories. So that's kind of category one. That's easy to understand why we would be drawn to those games. The second is calming games that you can explore. It's still interesting. It has to tell a good story, but fundamentally we use it as escapism. And it's easy to see why all three of us, we live very different lives, but we all live pretty hectic lives when it comes to work. It's pretty stressful. So it's easy to understand why we would escape to games that calm us and that you can kind of set your own pace and you get some restorative kind of aspect out of playing. What's interesting is the third category, because we're all kind of also attracted to Twitch-based, fast-paced, anxiety-inducing games, and I don't get the impetus behind it. It's easy to understand the first two categories of games, but I don't understand the third.
Well, I mean, we do live kind of like the work.
So it's not really
escapism.
escapism. It's kind of an extension of our core personality that we put into our work, maybe.
But I think that goes across plenty of people. Like, so many people are in stress-inducing jobs, so you can perform under pressure. So a challenge like running through, Doom or
do we do it for the challenge? Maybe that's what the answer is.
But it's also a different type of stress. Like, if you fuck up in a high-stress environment as
in
a job,
then you're fucked.
There's
real consequences.
There's consequences to it. You jump into Doom and you run around like a fucking madman. You don't beat that fucking cyber demon, it's gonna reload. You play it again. There is no consequence other than you don't get past that cyber demon.
This takes me back to when my mate James used to watch me play games.
Interesting answer, Dan.
It goes off what Dan says, is that he hated watching me play third person,
because there's no payoff for him. He's just a passenger on your
zaniness. We used to we'd go over and hang out because we went to school together. We'd just go over and hang out, and I'd be like, "What are you playing?" He's like, "I'm playing this." It's like, "Cool, man. Play." And if you want me to jump in at any point, whatever. But otherwise, I'm just going to sit here and we're just going to chat while you play because it's you understand. But I remember playing the Spawn.
I think that was
Emma. You remember playing the Spawn game on PS2 and GameCube?
Yep.
And he hated the fact that I would be like, I need to go that way, so I think I can jump off here and just glide down. But if I don't make it, then I'll just reload. And it used to stress him out more than anything. I don't know why, but it really stressed him out. That I would just run off and
so he stacked the deck more than you did in terms of survivability in that game.
Yeah, I'd be like, whatever. I got 18 lives. Fuck it. I'm just gonna try and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But
you may even try 2 or 3 times before giving up.
Oh no, try 16 times before I gave up on it. I was committed to the idea that I think I could do it. But I would just run and jump off things. Whereas he'd very carefully climb down the ladders. Whereas I'd be like, no, I know I've got fall damage, but I know how much fall damage I'm going to get. So I can just roll and, I can do that. And even currently game I'm playing, I'm just I'm going to test the fall. That's the first thing I do. I always test the fall damage. How much is it going to hurt me if in this escapist world of video games, if I jump off a cliff that I know would 100% kill me in real life, am I just going to be oh, use a health pack. That was bad. Don't do that again. But yeah, that's, I guess, if you're talking about different ways of
So it's got to be similar enough.
Games, yeah.
So it's got to be similar enough to reality to kind of evoke the same themes.
You want to be able to see some of yourself in the character, but at the same time, you're
but disconnected enough from reality for it to still feel like escapism.
Yeah,
I just find it fascinating. It's the psychology of what draws the three of us to the same games, because all three of us do play the same kind of games. We have very different personalities. There's got to be some impetus behind why we're drawn to the same kinds of games.
Well, I think it's just especially the way we all talk about games is we encourage each other to get into the games that someone else may have found like.
Yeah, but we haven't hit a miss.
Control.
We haven't had a
Control's
miss
the perfect
so far.
example. But like, I never would have really thought to play Control. It's psychological horror. It's not really my jam. But the way Dan talked about it, I was like, I'll fucking play that one day. Like, and then I managed to get it as a free PS Plus download. So I was like, I'm gonna jump into it. I smashed through it. Like, I platinumed it in like 2 weeks. Like, and that included all the DLC. Like, I just couldn't get enough of it. I was right in there. It was really fun gameplay. But like, I never would have thought to pick up that game if Dan hadn't said to me, like, it's a fun game for X, Y, Z, whatever. Like, that's definitely what drew me to it. Yeah.
I would never have played Ghost of Tsushima or God of War, or probably Horizon. Yeah, it's a running joke, but I don't think it's a fair joke. I think it's the wrong joke. I think there's plenty of ways you could take the piss out of me on those topics, but I've never once.
Your screen's frozen on my screen.
Yeah,
it's frozen on mine too.
I had an internet
and he's just
dropout.
grabbing his nose.
I had an internet. I had an internet dropout, and I'm.
It looks like you're doing
professional.
a Johnny Depp through his trial and just doing a quick bump.
Can you still see me? Can you hear me in real time at least?
Yeah, well.
So
we can
stop
hear you,
fucking
yeah.
talking about the fact that I'm paused.
No, it's funny.
I don't understand the running joke because I've never said your recommendations were shit. I've taken your recommendations on board and you've been right, and I've called you out as being right. So I don't see why the joke's on me. I just wait for you bitches to play bad games and good games, and I just filter through all the bad ones and only play the good ones.
No, it's just because you like, I don't know if I'll play the game, and then
and then I play it and I have a fucking orgasm.
So you play it, and you're like, oh my god, this is the greatest game ever. I'm like, yes, Pete, we know. We told you 18,000 times.
Look, there's one game I put in under the topic of emotional connections to games, and I've talked about World of Warcraft way too much in the podcast over the last 5 years. But that is because I have a very strong emotional connection to the game, and so whilst it might bore people that don't connect with what I'm talking about, to me, and I'm going to do a really bad job of this and people will roll their eyes, but to me, my emotional connections to games as a concept is most tied up into my memories of playing the Wrath of the Lich King expansion, which was the second expansion to World of Warcraft. But for all games across my entire history, there's lots of memories tied up in a lot of those games. That is the moment where I felt the strongest sense of excitement and payoff to that excitement out of any game I've ever played. So for me, World of Warcraft, I didn't play the original game.
Yeah.
Dan's gone to pee again. So I got invited in during the first expansion from my two out of three of my brothers. And they had played the original game, and the first expansion probably changed the game more than any other change in the game of World of Warcraft over the last 15 years, right? So epic raids went from, I think, 40 people to 24. As a core game mechanic, the biggest raid there was, and still is to this day, is 24 men. But 24 people. It was called a 24. It was called a 24-man raid. That wasn't my terminology. It was theirs. But it started as 40, and that's that's a foundational change in how you organize your guild, organize your night.
It usually
to
goes
play
the other
game.
way. Like you start with less,
you grow,
and you end up with more. Yeah.
And then they introduced like 4 people zones, and they introduced a number of changes. But I entered into the game during Burning Crusade, the first expansion. I raced to catch up to my friends. And then I caught up to level cap, which was, I think, level 60. And then we started raiding, which was you are only logging in to either do a bunch of the same monotonous quests to build up enough gold to actually raid, or you were jumping in with 24 other people to raid and die and raid and die and raid and die. And it was just cyclic.
Yeah.
Right? And there was some enjoyment in that. But Wrath of the Lich King was the first time an expansion had been released while I was playing the game. And suddenly it was like, fuck off, guild. I don't want to talk to any of you fucks. I almost said the C word, but I don't want to have to bleep myself out. I don't want to talk to anybody. This is my game. You do that really well, Dan. This is my game now, and I get to explore this whole new zone, and the excitement of it's a new color palette, and there's new races, and I get to do these new quests. I zoned out of the real world for a week. and just explored that game at my own pace. And I've never been able to match that level of excitement in terms of just...
I have a similar but weirdly flipped version of that. There's no other way to talk about it. I was addicted to Destiny for the first 2-3
You've talked
years
about
that game was out. But it wasn't... and I always wanted to... I never went into it with the idea of I wanted to play it with mates. And occasionally I'll be like, yeah, sure, if a guy wants to go run a mission together, we'll do it. But it's I wanted to explore the world at my own pace. I was treating it like a single player game, but it was definitely, it wanted to treat me as part of a multiplayer game.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, having played Destiny.
Yeah.
Not addicted, just
then
played.
I remember it's very quickly, and I guess this is what I was talking about before about how the emotional connection to game can be flipped into the bad side. And for me, it was just I lost a good 2-3 years of a really prime era in modern gaming because I couldn't stop logging on to that fucking same thing and going through the same maps missions, and the same levels and the same enemies and
But you saw through the treadmill pretty early, but you stayed on the treadmill.
Yeah, I mean, I was on it for a good 2-3 years where I would just log into Destiny.
But you realised right? That's the question.
You
realised you're on a treadmill.
100%. I saw through it eventually, and I was but that took me Destiny 1. I lost. I think I looked at the hours. It was something like 900 hours I played in that game, which is stupid when I think about how little the content was. But that's a testament to the creator of how much he wanted to come back. So I wanted to get the new fucking bike, and I wanted to get the new armor shader, and I wanted to get that, and it was that
to me, this is where I get really cynical about some games, and mostly online games, which Destiny is an online game, right? So
100%. But I played Destiny 2 for I did the first campaign, I did the second campaign, but while that was on, I was actually jumping out to other games. And I remember it was the Forsaken DLC release. And granted, they also killed off Nathan Fillion's character, who was my favorite. And maybe that broke me out of shattered the rose-tinted glasses. But I was like, what the fuck am I doing? And I've looked at all the games I'd missed between then and gone back now and finally actually played a bunch of them.
And you kicked yourself for wasting that time.
100%. I wasted a good 3, 4, 5 years of my gaming life on this stupid thing of going pew pew bang bang on. It wasn't even Alien Worlds. It was our fucking solar system. That's the worst thing.
That's so going back to what I was talking about with World of Warcraft. That's what killed.
Yeah.
That's what killed the game for me. Wrath of the Lich King. It was such a high exploring the world by myself for the first time in the game because I was always just racing to raid level with my brothers. I enjoyed raiding with my brothers because it was a technique challenge. It was a Twitch challenge. You have to hit the buttons at exactly the right second, and 23 other people had to hit their buttons at exactly the right second for you to succeed. And that was a fun challenge for a while. Played Wrath of the Lich King, and I'm like, I'm so enjoying this as a single-player game. And as soon as I hit raid level, it ruined all the fun. Because it was like, I'm going to spend the next 200 hours doing the same 4 activities in the hopes of getting an armor that's going to give me +1 to each stat. So I can participate in the next round of raids.
That's how they get you.
For another 200 hours, for another +1 stat. And then they'll release another expansion where no matter how hard I did or didn't work, it's all useless the day the expansion comes out. That's where I saw the treadmill for what it was. And going back to what you were talking about with Destiny, this is what makes me cynical about online games these days. There is a social component that is absolutely worthy of investing time, but otherwise understand that they're actually written by psychologists who design games explicitly to be addictive.
Yeah, it's essentially like pokies. 100%. Yeah.
It's just that little bit of a dopamine leak. As long as you can drip feed the player, they'll keep paying their monthly subscription, and you start to see through the fucking curtain for the little guy behind the Wizard of Oz.
And that's the thing. I guess it would have been different for me. Well, it would have been different for me if I'd had friends I was playing with constantly. But
But then it's a
into
social investment. It's not a game
100%.
investment.
My
It's different.
social investment was post high school was playing Smash Brothers till 3 a.m. Yeah, it was the same 20 maps, but fucking hell, no one could fucking touch me when I was Samus. I would murder them. Absolutely murder them. In fact, a little like EB Games shared a meme on their Instagram the other day about like the Zelda level in Smash Brothers Melee, and I sent it to my mate who's now living in Scotland. He was just like, "Oh, that hits me way harder than it should. I know exactly those areas they're talking about, and that is the danger zone." But yeah, no,
Dan's
it's a
fading
wonderful
fast.
thing. He is fading fast, and we are going to wrap it up because we're just going to
Well,
play my favorite round of questions, which is, "Are you winning, son?" Because I just
Are you
love
winning,
saying it
son,
every
to
time.
Dan?
Yes.
But yes, that was a very good discussion, and I thank you guys for letting us go on a little nostalgia
Trip
trip
down
and just
memory lane. I agree.
but also just like finding out those those things for us, thinking about the emotional ties to those certain ways of playing different games, and
Yeah, and what it says about our lives that drives those emotional ties, because I think there's a big connection between those two things, and I think that's really interesting.
it is. Anyway,
It's a
Dan,
puzzle conversation.
Are you winning, son?
Bloody hell. Yes. So yes, I guess I'm only going to talk about one of mine on the list there. So we spoke about Doom 2016 in the previous section. I have decided not to delve into Doom Eternal just yet. I will delve
let me
into
know what you
Doom
do because I
Eternal
really
soon.
want to buy it and play it. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely will. But I wanted to start exploring Pete's world of Warhammer. And this is Necromunda, hired gun. So it's set in the Warhammer
Yeah.
40k universe solely
You've talked
on
about
Oh, this is the album you
Necromunda.
sent me.
Yeah.
that I haven't listened to yet.
So
It's not a bad
solely
person.
on the hive world of Necromunda.
Yep.
And it's it's Doom 2016, not quite as polished, but with a different story and a hub
Yeah.
world to visit between each mission, which sometimes doesn't quite make sense. But
Is it first person shooter?
Yeah.
it is. It's Doom 2016. You've got
Okay.
you've got the move set that's
it's just
halfway between.
skinned. It's just skinned for Warhammer 40k nerds, frankly. Like it's
Yes.
it's a second rate FPS that is attractive because of the rich history behind the Warhammer 40k universe, I guess.
Yeah, but the worlds are beautiful. Like you're on Necromunda. Everything is rust, and everything is rust colored and brown colored. There's very little palette change, but the level design and the things, there's always within each short-ish mission, there's always one big set point. Something will happen that's a big thing that happens there, and that is all the difference between them. And they just, I will just jump into the next mission to see what the big set piece of that mission is, and then go from there. And all the other times, you just fucking killing people. You just
I'm watching
shooting
the
them with chunky guns and letting you call your mastiff by squeaking its squeaky toy, and then you
It's currently 50% off on the PlayStation Store.
I'm
as well.
watching the Steam videos right now. And it just looks like some raw, non-cerebral fun.
Oh, that's exactly what it is. Exactly what it is, and that's exactly what Doom.
No, that's cool. I
2016 is.
don't know why, but I thought it was a isometric shooter for some reason, like a top down.
No.
Most of the Warhammer
like-
40k tactics games have
Maybe
been.
that's where I'm getting confused. But yeah,
No, this isn't. This is a very, very much a Twitch-based, like
Was released-
multiple wave enemy shooter. Yeah.
Released mid last year, and it's probably kind of a midpoint between Space. Well, it wasn't Space Commander. What was it called? Warhammer 40k, the first-person shooter where you're a Space Marine. It was called Space Marine. Warhammer 40k Space Marine, and the announced sequel, which I think is due out 2023. This is probably a midway game to kind of use the same
I'll
FPS
give
engine
it
that
a
they
shot
use
if
for.
it's-
No,
Yeah.
Space Marine's third person.
Yeah, but it's kind of FPS styled over the shoulder.
It's over the shoulder.
so like
yeah,
Gears
it's
of
third person
War.
over the shoulder. Yeah,
Yeah.
not
Yes.
first person. Yeah, this is very much on traversal, and I played several missions, and like they just throw the enemies at you. Like you get to a certain point, there's a calm point to start with, and then they just throw the enemies at you when you hit a certain point of the mission. And there was one, I think it was the second or third mission, and I've finally wiped out all of the people in this area, and I found myself like 6 or 7 levels above where I had started, and I hadn't even realized I'd gotten that high. I was just
Because you were
using,
so focused on killing what was right in front of you.
and I was just using the traversal mechanics just to move and find the next person and get them, and the music just goes in your head while it's doing, and then as soon as you get that last person, it cuts down and just mellows, and so that last person's gone, and then all of a sudden I've gone, oh, how the fuck did I get up here? And it was just the wall running and the double jumping and the grappling and the dashing and the sliding, and it's just, and they encourage you to do that because they tell you from the very beginning, once you start implementing these things, you are harder to hit for the enemies. So there's obviously their hit percentage goes down as soon as you start doing these things. So it forces you to do these things, but then the controls are quite intuitive that you do them without even thinking about it. So I really enjoyed it. I'm about 3/4 of the way through. The storyline has gone way above my head, but I'm still enjoying it. I just will go and kill things, and yeah.
I've been hankering for a 40k game for a while, so I might have to check that out.
It's not
definitely a
polished in
PC
any way,
game.
Pete. It's definitely not polished in any way.
None of the
But,
40k games are. That's par for the course.
but it's
half-baked release.
It is fun. I will grant it. That's fun. And if you do enjoy that, do Doom's 2016 because it's very similar but tighter.
Yeah.
Nice.
So who's
Peter.
winning next?
Are you winning, son?
I am enjoying the shit out of Ghost of Tsushima. I just that's it. I'm up to Act 2. I probably could have finished the game well before I have, but I am very consciously making sure I get every single question mark done. I've opened up all the fog of war in the Act 1 zone before moving to Act 2, and I'm about 2/3 of the
It's
way.
just such an explorable world as well.
Oh, it's enjoyable for the sake of exploring. It's not driving you to collect 5,000 feathers for no other reason than to collect the feathers. It's the journey that is the reward in Ghost of Tsushima. It's a beautifully written game in that sense. Yeah. It's not just about ticking all the boxes and getting all of the XYZ collectibles. It's actually thoroughly enjoyable to go and find the collectibles and to put on the journey, the traveler's armor, and wait for the weird light bug thing to start pulsing in your controller to tell you you're near a collectible, and then go hunt it down just based on Marco Polo mechanics, basically. Well, it is, right? It's
it's just it's
as you
hot
get
and
closer,
cold.
it pulses
It's
faster.
the old game
It's-
of hot and cold. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what Dad used. Yeah.
So I'm in Act 2. I think I'm up to the last quest of Act 2, and I've actually held back from doing it so I can explore the rest of the zone. Fucking loving it. Brilliant game. Thank you for the recommendation.
Ghost Path or Samurai Path?
I did exactly what you described, and it has been driving me nuts for 2 reasons. First of all, I'm pretty sure I would have picked that path had you not challenged me to it anyway, because
Who?
it is. Yeah. You said you have to press that fucking up arrow every time you get, you get offered to fucking do the standoff. And I've got to say, it is so much more rewarding to do it. I would have done it anyway. You feel like such a fucking badass with the Sakai armor at like fully unlocked, and you get to carve through 5 guys in one standoff. It's just so satisfying. What is bugging me about the game is I want to pick the honorable path 100% of the time. 2 things that I wish that I could do. 1, turn off all the missions that force you to be a stealthy, unhonorable fuck. And 2, I wish I could disable the assassination button because that's also your weak attack button. So if I jump a guy, I don't actually want to just tanto him in the back. I want to start fighting. The amount of times I've walked up to a guy expecting to whack him with my sword.
If you're jumping a guy, it doesn't sound very honourable.
No, but I run through battle. It's not my fault that the guy didn't notice me.
Wow, wow, wow.
Anyway, it pisses me off. The amount of times I've loaded a save game for no other reason than I accidentally assassinated somebody when I intended not to.
Yeah.
You should just be able to disable like non-honourable play. I would have a much better experience.
Nah, stab those in the back. Sorry, Pete.
I've marked it. Thank you.
Okay, I marked it too. Because I definitely went the stealth mark, and
This is a game. It's really
I really
interesting.
thought you would have gone the stealth.
It's
like,
really interesting.
too.
This is a game that I never had one iota of attraction to going the stealth route. It just didn't seem rewarding to me. It is all about thematically, the game is all about honor versus the concept of doing what needs to be done to survive. That is the dichotomy of the whole storyline. And I very much wanted to go down the line of honor. Plus, there's nothing better than walking into the midst of a shit ton of Mongols and just destroying them without blowing poison darts and watching them vomit blood. Like, fuck off. I want to be badass, and it just doesn't feel badass hiding in the pappas grass shooting fucking blowgun darts.
Says the Assassin's Creed fanboy. Oh, okay.
I'm just, maybe. I don't know why there's a difference, but it felt like a very different game to me.
No, it's totally fair. I get it. Yeah, but no, I was much the opposite. I was just like, I'm gonna walk around and slit some throats. This is gonna be fun. Yeah.
So, Tom, are you winning, son?
Oh, I'm winning, son. Oh, am I winning? Yes, I finished Control. That was brilliant. Thank you, Dan, for the recommendation. A very cool mix of like psychological horror and like 60s aesthetic of like the FBI and like Mindhunter, which is a great show, and I really hope they make that season 3.
Yeah, me too.
And then
It's been a while though.
Almost a little like Stranger Things-esque. But then, like, the unsolved mystery of the fucking board, who are they? That is driving me nuts. The upside down fucking pyramid people. But yeah, super cool. Not a game I really thought I'd get into. Played really well. So I played on the PS5. I had the PS5 version, which was the Ultimate Edition, had all the DLC into it. I've never played Alan Wake, but I've heard really good things about it. One of the DLCs is all about that game. They're in the same kind of game universe now, thanks to Control. But playing it with my 3D audio headphones would
have been trippy as balls.
Oh, it was so good. So like you're running around this, like it's all set in one building. It's kind of like if you think about the Mad Max, not Mad Max.
I've never even seen
I Am the Law. No, I Am the Law.
Judge Dredd.
Carl Urban.
Yeah.
Judge Dredd. If you think about Judge Dredd, the way they do that in the one building, that's essentially what you are in. You're in this one building, but it is a
dimensional
building. It's, dimensional bleeding and all this kind of stuff. So it's like really cool kind of concepts. But you'll run through and the building is on lockdown. It's meant to be like an FBI-esque kind of part of the American government because they're called the Federal Bureau of Control, but it's all paranormal stuff. But then this like basic thing is like, you learn this in the opening credits, is like this invasive species from another dimension has taken over the building or infected the building. And so like you're walking along and there's people just floating midair, but they're infected by what they call the hiss, but they're constantly chanting. And then as you move through the level and like certain rooms, the chant changes as you move into certain areas. So you can go from a chant back to a chant, back to a chant.
Right.
So playing that with 3D audio headphones was just like, oh no,
creepy as
in
fuck.
my brain. Yeah, but it like really added, like in terms of like atmosphere and like enjoyment of the game, it really added to it. Because then, you know, if you wanted like silence, then you had to shoot the innocent people who were just floating, and it would kind of kill out the noise. but then you kind of felt bad for just killing the innocent people. And there's this whole and then there goes into all these plots about the three, but it was really, really fascinating. The first DLC, which deals with a certain part of the building, I found a lot more interesting purely because the second DLC is really tied to that Alan Wake game. So if you haven't played it, I felt a lot of it was lost on me. And even talking to some guys...
You've obviously played all through this, Dan.
I haven't played the Alan Wake expansion. Yeah,
right.
I knew what it was. I knew they were re-releasing Alan Wake, like a remastered version. So I've been waiting.
And now I've been recommended to go play the Alan Wake thing, which is it's all about light versus dark and shining. Yeah. You have a torch is basically like one of your main weapons. But yeah, it's so a bit of that DLC was lost on me. But it's still the same kind of gameplay. Like you play as this young woman who, for reasons connected to story, develops telekinetic powers in the game. And so you're shooting with one hand with this morphing gun, which was really cool. But I did find I only just stuck to the pistol version. I didn't find any of the guns really modes really held any weight. I think I used the rocket launcher mode for clearing parts of the environment, but that was it. Otherwise, I just used the pistol.
Yep.
But then it's all about the telekinetic powers. So you can, launch, which is, your standard levitation. You can levitate. You can seize mines. You can build a shield, which eventually you can rush with. And then there's one more, isn't there? Maybe.
Oh, I don't know. It's been a while since I played.
You got the melee. She's got a
pulse,
melee, pulse thing, which was good for exploring worlds as well. But it's all set in. It's like a lot of it is very cyclical. There's a really cool moment. My favorite moment is definitely you go into what they call the ash maze or the yeah. And it's this moment where you're running through this maze, and the only way you can get through it is past a certain point where you're given this
the headphones.
The headphones it plays this old school metal track, and then you're running through this world where the only way the maze listens to you is if you're listening to this metal track, and then it's very trippy, walls popping up where they shouldn't, walls melting away,
lowering and raising, and
it's pretty high paced combat. You are facing, you run into an area and 20 bad guys will spawn, and then you've got to use the environment to your advantage. You can shoot, you can throw things at them, you can seize them. I really found that seizing people later in the game was key. It's the only way I got through certain levels. But really, really fun, pretty straightforward in terms of going for the plat, but a really engaging, entertaining story, and one of the best fake outs of a end game I think I've ever seen. Really good fake out that had
this
me for
Control?
A split second. Yeah.
Sorry, I really.
And now I've moved on to Biomutant,
which you can talk about next episode as Are You Winning, Son? Because Dan's got to get up in 5 hours for work, unless Dan's electing to.
I was going to say two things, so
finish
you, Pete.
Biomutant, yeah.
Fair.
Biomutant. I've been playing it for maybe 12 hours. The narrator, very funny, but I had to turn him down because in terms of the frequency he speaks, because sometimes it gets really annoying. But if you ever wanted a game that really made you feel bad for the state of the world we've left it in, this is the one for you, because it is really lets you know how bad it is that corporations are poisoning the planet, and it hasn't stopped on that theme. But also weirdly zen. It's a very interesting game, but I will talk about it more in the next episode when I've probably finished it, because I'm
going to get into it at some stage as well. It's interested me since they announced it 3 or 4 years
Yeah, we
ago.
talked about it at an E3 episode, I'm sure.
ages ago. Yeah,
So I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm just conscious that
No, that was the thing. That was my last little bits. Yeah, I know Dan needs to go to bed, but Controller's great. Biomutant is shaping up to be great, but it's also very quirky.
Yeah, cool.
Bit of fun.
Yeah.
Looks interesting. All right, I think on that note, we're going to wrap.
Yes, it is time.
Go to sleep. It is 11 o'clock on a Wednesday. Thank you very much for listening. Hit us up on Instagram or Facebook if you want to tell us what a bunch of wankers we are. Mainly me.
I would like to throw a quick shout out to Jack, the batch delivery driver, who has just started listening to us and loved his first episode. So
Yeah, awesome.
Jack, there's a little shout out for you if you made it to the end of this episode. Well done.
Thanks.
And we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Cool.
And yes, I am way behind on publishing video episodes. I am going to get on top of it very soon.
It's all right.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.